Chapter 1688. The worms of the void wreaked havoc, devouring many demon slaves and splitting up. Those worms snuck underground at once and swarmed toward the north. Demons and demon slaves scattered. Unfortunately, there were too many of them, and the worms of the void were too fast. How could they disperse? Also, the demon camp was in a mess. It would be difficult to evacuate quickly. Swish, swish. Emperor Yoshing and the two 10-winged demons were attacking. Their origin energy of the demon was strong enough to kill some worms of the void. However, there were billions of worms of the void, and they had spread out into the demons and demon slaves. How could they kill them? You deal with the worms of the void and control the situation. I will go after Luli. He must be hiding nearby. Great monarch Yoshing's eyes darted around a few times. With a cold shout, the 10 wings on his back spread open, and he flew towards the north at top speed. He could tell that all the worms of the void had gone to the north. However, when he was thousands of miles to the north, he noticed that the worms of the void had stopped moving. He looked around, but found no trace of Luli. He wanted to kill the worms of the void. But on second thought, without the formation of refinement, it would be too slow for him to kill the worms of the void. By the time he killed all the worms of the void, a large number of demon warriors would have to die. Whoosh! Emperor Yoshing paused for a moment and went around. Making sure that Luli was not there, he began to search the demon camp. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, he had covered an area with a radius of 300,000 miles. Soon he found Luli. Luli stood on the peak of a mountain. Seeing Emperor Yoshing dashing toward him, Luli put on a mocking grin. He waved his hand and said, "Emperor Yoshing, goodbye. I will be back." With that said, Luli stepped back into the teleportation formation, and then it exploded. Emperor Yoshing watched as Luli ran away. In a fit of rage, Emperor Yoshing shot out a ray of Xian energy. The entire mountain was flattened. Great Emperor Yoshing took a stroll around the area, then returned to the demon camp in a depressed manner. The 8-winged demon was building the formation of refinement, and it was almost done. However, tens of millions of demonic slaves had already been devoured, and hundreds of thousands of demons had also been killed. Most importantly, the void worm had split 4 or 5 times. That was to say, there were more than 20 billion worms of the void. Luli could control the 20 billion worms of the void to attack the demon camp at any time. Buzz, streaks of black energy rose up. The void worms in the formation were all entangled by the black energy, corroded and slowly killed. Great Emperor Yoshing thought for a moment, then waved his hand and said, "Yoda, immediately take them to the north. There are many void worms underground. Hurry up and build the refinement soul formation to refine them." Yes. Yoda brought along a dozen 8-winged demons and flew over. A distance of tens of thousands of miles could be covered in a few blinks of an eye. They released their demonic auras and scouted down below. No, what surprised them was that there were no void worms underground. They searched the surroundings several times, and after confirming that there were no void worms, they could only return to report. No. Great Emperor Yoshing blinked his eyes in confusion. Just as he was about to head north to investigate, an 8-winged demon quickly flew over from the south. He knelt down and reporting to Great Emperor, a large number of insects have appeared in the south. The soldiers and demon slave that retreated over there are being eaten. Luli. Great Emperor Yoshing's eyes turned red. He rushed over with 2 10-winged demons. Many demons and demonic slaves that had retreated were now being eaten by the void worms. Search. Great Emperor Yoshing did not mind the demonic slaves and demons. He led a group of powerful warriors to search nearby. However, after a round of searching, he could not find any trace of Luli. Report. An 8-winged demon flew over, bringing another piece of news that made Great Emperor Yoshing hopping mad. "Your Majesty, there are many void worms in the west. They have suffered a great loss." Great Emperor Yoshing was losing his mind. Luli came and went like a shadow. He put void worms here and there. Was he not going to stop until he had killed all the demons? No, he didn't leave by flying. He must have built a teleportation formation nearby. Great Emperor Yoshin came to his senses. He did not know much about human teleportation formations. Therefore, when Luli left, he did not give it much thought. Now, he finally understood. Whoosh, Great Emperor Yoshin searched nearby and found some hidden teleportation formations. He ordered all the powerful demons to search nearby and destroy all the teleportation formations. He did not go after Luli in a hurry. Instead, he told the demons to spread out and find a safe place first. Standing in midair, Great Emperor Yoshin had calmed down. He knew that the demons were in grave danger. If they continued to rage and allowed Luli to lead them by the nose, they would all be wiped out. Great Emperor Yoshin would not be able to become a legendary emperor of the demons. Instead, he would become a sinner. No, a sinner. This could not go on. After a while, Great Emperor Yoshin made up his mind. He could either retreat or kill Luli as soon as possible. That being said, Great Emperor Yoshin could not kill Luli instantly. Luli had the ability to fly and could run away at any time. Therefore, to kill Luli quickly was almost impossible. Retreat. In the end, Great Emperor Yoshin made a difficult decision. He would evacuate the nearby area and forget about the loss of the city. His target was not the craftsman's city, but the entire divinity. He would conserve his strength and then find a way to kill Luli. Orders were passed down. The demons did not hesitate to follow Great Emperor Yoshin's orders. Groups of 8-winged demons took control of the demons and retreated from the sky. All the demonized slaves received the order and retreated to the east. The demons retreated quickly. They flew to the east while the demonized slaves ran on the ground. In the time for several incense sticks to burn, the entire demon camp was gone. Ow! Everyone in the city of craftsmen's eyes glowed. Many were excited, and some were crying tears of joy. The demons retreated, and the demonic energy dissipated. Finally, they could see the sky. It was light again. The long night was over. Finally, the dawn had come. Of course, nobody could tell if the demons were really retreating or not. Luo Guan was afraid to open the shield. He had to wait quietly. After a full 2 hours, a person flew over from the distant sky. That man was wearing a cyan robe and had a cyan saber in his hand. His white hair danced in the wind. His face was calm, and his eyes were filled with determination. He did not emit any strong energy, but when he appeared, people felt they were in awe. Master, open the shield. The demons have retreated. Luli stood outside the shield. Luo Guan and Luli looked at each other. Without much hesitation, Luo Guan opened the shield. They smelled the fresh air and felt they had been reborn. Thank you, Lord Lu, for saving our lives. Some mighty warriors in the divinity dropped to one knee. Many came back to their senses and dropped to one knee as well. The other super mighty warriors in the divinity bowed and said, Thank you, Lord Lu, for saving our lives. Luli, thank you so much. Luo Guan bowed as well, and so did Luo Huang. She looked at Lu Li, who was standing proudly in the sky. Her eyes became misty. It had only been a few years. Before she knew it, the man who could only look up to her had risen to the peak of the divinity. Chapter 1689. Everyone bowed. Zhuo Lu, on the other hand, was reluctant to do so. But Luli did save their lives. Zhuo Lu cupped his fists and said, Thank you, Lu, Li, for saving us. Luli said nothing, and he didn't ask them to stand up. After the time for 3 breaths, he said, Please stand up. We are all human beings, and we should help each other. The demons are not dead yet. We must work together to overcome the difficulties. The powerful warriors stood up and stood up with dignity. Young as Luli was, he was not weaker than Lord Ji. Also, he had the bearing of Lord Ji. He was intimidating without being angry. People dared not to breathe heavily in front of him. Whoosh, from the west came a noise. Then 2 people flew over. Everyone was on guard. They were relieved to see that it was Ling Qinyin and Pan Yuqin. They didn't shout from afar, but they kept their eyes on Lu Li. When they arrived at the city wall, they smiled. Pan Yuqin said nothing. She looked at Lu Li with reddened eyes. Ling Qingyan said with a smile, Lu Li, congratulations on passing the heaven tribulation. Heaven tribulation? Everyone came to their senses. So Lu Li went missing to pass the heaven tribulation a while ago. He was so young, and he had become a supreme warrior in the divinity. He was even more talented than the Slayer. Lu Li smiled. He noticed that Pan Yuqin's eyes were red. He said gently, Yuqin, I am back. Everything is over. This is not the time to catch up. The demon army has just left. Send some scouts to investigate. I will go after them for a while and kill some demons. At the same time, I will lower the morale of the demon army. All right, don't worry, Pan Yuqin finally said. Ling Qingyan nodded and said, don't worry about intelligence. We'll take care of it. If you need anything, send a message back at any time. Yes, yes. Zhuqiu Lu answered in a heroic manner. Lu Li, go all out and fight. Send me a message if you need anything. Don't worry. That's okay. Lu Li squinted at him and said with a mocking tone, Master Zhua, come with me. You go and kill Emperor Yoshing, and I will cheer for you. Zhuqiu Lu was embarrassed. Lu Li was obviously teasing him. If he were to challenge Yushing, he would be courting death. Just now, he said that it was no problem. Now, he didn't know how to respond. All right, you guys stay at the back and wait for my orders. Lu Li had no time to waste with Zhuqiu Lu. He drew a formation in the void and disappeared after leaving her words. Order! Zhuqiu Lu and some supreme warriors of the four forces became gloomy. Lu Li used the word order, which meant that he regarded himself as the commander-in-chief of the divinity. In the future, when he destroyed the demon army, he would probably unify the immortal world and proclaim himself as the great emperor. At this moment, even Luo Guan was feeling apprehensive in her heart. For them, if their forces were to be annexed, it would be no different from the destruction of the god world. All along, in their hearts, the sect's interests were above everything else. If anyone dared to encroach on the sect's interests, that person would be their mortal enemy, just like a devil. Ling Qingyan and Pan Yuqin looked at each other, and both of them showed a sarcastic smile. Lu Li had just saved them, and the demon army had not retreated yet. Now, they were planning to take over. These people really cared about nothing but interests. Let's go. Ling Qingyan was a maverick. She left with Pan Yuqin without saying goodbye. They controlled the scouts of the entire divinity and the land of Yuyan. They must find out everything about the demon army so that they could help Lu Li. Lu Li flew across the void at a fast speed. The demon army and the demon army of demon slaves were separated. The demons were faster, but Lu Li caught up with them easily. Lu Li didn't mind the army of Asmodean slaves. Even though there were billions of them, they were merely walking dead and their abilities were not strong. The demon was the culprit. Only by killing all the demons could the divinity be pacified. After catching up with the demon army, Lu Li was not in a hurry to take action. Instead, he flew to the front of the demon army. He began to build a formation at the front. The formation he built was not lethal. It was just an inhibition formation. He also built some formations of illusion underground and released 10 million worms of the void to hide in the formations of illusion. After doing all this, he stealthily snuck away. He took a detour to a place thousands of miles to the left and built another formation and another formation of illusion. Then, he set up 10 million worms of the void. By the time he was done, the demon army's outpost had arrived. But the inhibition formation Lu Li built was not obvious. The formation of illusion was ingenious. Therefore, the demon scout did not detect anything amiss and continued to scout ahead. Okay, the demon army could feel the inhibition formations Lu Li built. He could tell that the formation was triggered many times, but the formation of illusion was not. He was relieved. He took a detour and went after the demon army. He could feel that the inhibition formations were being triggered. After thousands of times, he ordered the mother of the worms of the void, control the worms of the void in front to come out and attack at will. The demon army had just arrived where Lu Li hid the worms of the void. As the mother of the worms of the void gave the order, countless worms of the void flew out and dashed into the demon army. What? Emperor Yoshing and the other two 10-winged demons were in the demon army. They noticed the worms of the void as soon as they came out. They thought Lu Li was lying in ambush ahead. They flew out quickly, trying to find Lu Li and kill him. Unfortunately, there were only 10 million worms of the void, and Lu Li was nowhere to be seen. They were just about to suppress the worms of the void. The worms of the void on the left began to attack the left flank of the demon army. The three 10-winged demons hurried to the left. Almost at the same time, Lu Li took action at the rear of the demon army. Countless worms of the void in his body and the wicked bead came out. Billions of them swarmed forward like locusts. The demon army stopped because they encountered the worms of the void. The demons at the back of the army heard the sound of something tearing through the air and looked back in shock. The demons of the worms are here. A demon yelled. The demons at the rear were scared out of their wits. They saw the sky was getting darker and darker. It was as if the sky was being devoured by a dark fog. The worms of the void that covered the sky sent chills down the backs of all the demons. Run! A fiend let out an ear-piercing scream, and the millions of fiends in the rear flew forward in a frenzy. However, there was a dense crowd of fiends in front of them, and when they charged together, the fiend army's formation became extremely chaotic. The worms of the void were fast, many times faster than the average demons. Soon, the army of worms of the void enveloped the demon army at the rear. At the moment, the three 10-winged demons that were still suppressing the worms of the void on the left finally realized something was wrong. The sky behind them darkened, and they knew something was wrong. This was a diversionary tactic. Lu Li's real target was the demon's rear army. Chapter 1690. Billions of void worms swept out and enveloped 1 million fiends. Void worms entering the bodies of these low-ranking fiends was equivalent to a death sentence. Buzzing, Lu Li set up a formation as soon as he released the worms of the void. By the time the three 10-winged demons came, Lu Li had already dashed into the golden door and flew away. Back off, back off! Seeing that the worms of the void were devouring the demons, Emperor Yoshing yelled in rage. At the same time, he released his origin of demons to envelop the worms of the void. The origin of demons could not demonize the worms of the void, but it could suppress them so that the demons could run away. Yoda, you two go to the other two places to suppress the worms of the void. Ask the civilians to leave. The worms of the void were fast. Without their help, the demon army would be chased down and eaten. The other two 10-winged demons released some origin of demons and went to the front and the left. After struggling for more than 2 hours, under the suppression of the three 10-winged fiends, the entire fiend army retreated. But the loss was heavy. Over 2 million demons were killed. The three 10-winged demons only killed hundreds of millions of worms of the void. Most of the worms of the void had gone underground. Soon, the worms of the void would split up after devouring so many demons. Lu Li, Lu Li, Lu Li, Emperor Yoshing shouted 3 times. They had retreated from the craftsman's city, but Lu Li was not letting them go. Was he chasing after them? Previously, they were the ones who hunted down the human warriors and slaughtered them like sheep. Now, the tables had turned. The demon army had become sheep, and Lu Li had become the butcher. He could do whatever he wanted, frustration, anger, and helplessness. That was how Emperor Yoshing felt. If Lu Li had fought him fair and square and defeated them, Emperor Yoshing would have nothing to say. He would have led the demon army back to the realm of demons. However, Lu Li was just a young man. It was said that he was not even 100 years old. Yet, he had defeated the entire demon army on his own. What was more, Lu Li was despicable. He did not rely on his own abilities, but on some shameless tactics. That was what Emperor Yoshing felt frustrated about. There are still tens of millions of demons and many powerful demons. However, Lu Li could kill 1 or 2 million in one sneak attack. Next time, he could kill another 1 or 2 million. How long could the tens of millions of demons last? If they could conquer the God realm, great Emperor Yoshing wouldn't care even if more than half of the demons died. Demons had a strong reproductive ability. There were many low-level demons in the realm of devils. But how could Luli occupy the divinity if he cannot kill him? If the divine world was not conquered and the demon world's powerhouses all died here, it would be a devastating blow to the demon world. Perhaps after this war, the demon race would no longer exist in this world. What if Luli led the human army into the demon realm? What if other universes invaded the demon realm? Great Emperor Yoshing forced himself to calm down. He quickly caught up to the evil demon army as his mind worked furiously. The only obstacle that could stop the demons from unifying the divinity was Luli. As long as Luli was killed, there would be no more problems. Yoda, after pondering for 2 hours, a hint of ruthlessness flashed through Emperor Yoshing's eyes. He summoned Yoda over and said in a low voice, "There's a large city hundreds of millions of kilometers ahead of us called Star Sand City. You sneak into the city to set up the formation." To set up the formation to kill Luli? Yoda's eyes glowed. Then, he said with hesitation, "Luli is very good at solving formations. He cracked the formation of immortals once built by the Emperor. Also, I don't know how to set up the formation of immortals. I don't think I can do it well, even if the Emperor teaches me." "Who told you to set up the formation of immortals?" Emperor Yoshing said coldly. "Even if I could teach you the formation of immortals, you would not be able to do it in a short time. I want you to set up the formation of blood." "The formation of blood?" Yoda pulled a long face, and his eyes were filled with fear. He knew how to set up the formation of blood. Usually, the 8-winged demons knew how to do it, but none of them would do it easily. Once the formation was successfully set up, the person who set it up would be dead. This formation was not a formation. It was a secret skill of the demon realm that was extremely vicious and horrifying. Using the origin blood of demons as the medium, the formation could mobilize forces in heaven and earth to trap and kill all the enemies. This formation was created by a powerful warrior of the demon realm 400,000 years ago. That powerful warrior had many enemies. Before he reached the end of his life, he set up the formation. Using this formation, the descendants of that demon killed many enemies. But the family was wiped out in the end because the formation was too powerful. In order to learn the method of setting up the formation, many powerful warriors of the demon realm dashed to where the family was. In the end, a large number of demon armies and powerful warriors died, which led to the exhaustion of the energy of the formation. Only then did the powerful warriors of the demon realm learn the method of setting up the formation of blood. Later on, the formation of blood appeared several times. Before the powerful warriors of the demon realm died, they set up the formation to protect their descendants. The formation of blood was indeed horrifying. If it was set up by the 8-winged demons, not even the 10-winged demons would dare to break in. Now, Emperor Yoshing wanted Yoda to set up the formation of blood. If Luli could enter the formation of blood, it would be easy to kill Luli. Even if the formation could not kill Luli, it could trap Luli. Emperor Yoshing could then go in and kill Luli. The idea was good. The problem was, Yoda would have to pay with his life. Yoda was old, but he could live for hundreds of thousands of years. Nobody wanted to die. Once Yoda died, the territories of his family would be plundered by powerful demons, and his descendants would be tortured to death. Life in the demon realm was cruel. Due to the lack of resources, battles were frequent. If he died, he believed that his entire family would not be able to survive. Emperor, Yoda was upset. "Can't you let Lord go? Yoda wants to follow you for a while longer." "No." Emperor Yoshing closed his eyes and sighed. "You have seen Li's strange skills. If it were not for you, we would not be able to trap him, let alone kill him. If we cannot kill Li, not only will we occupy the divinity, but our entire race will also be wiped out. If Luli goes to the demon realm and releases billions of worms of the void, you can imagine." Yoda's expressions changed. If that were to happen, the demon realm might really disappear from the world. "Yoda, I understand your concerns." Emperor Yoshing opened his eyes and looked at Yoda. "If we conquer the divinity, will we still be short of territories and resources?" By then, I will confer you the title of Saint King. Who dares to attack the descendants of Saint Kings? As long as my family is still in power, I promise that your family will be prosperous for generations to come. Saint King. Yoda's eyes glowed. His expressions changed several times. Finally, he made up his mind and said, "Okay, Emperor, for the sake of our race, I will set up the formation. I hope that you will treat my people well. Emperor, I will go now." Chapter 1691. Lu Li's second attack came very quickly. It only took 5 days for the attack to begin. Ling Qinyin and Pan Yuqin mobilized a large number of scouts to keep track of the demon army at all times. Also, the demon army was a big target. It was easy for Lu Li to track them down. Lu Li's attack was the same as the last time, but this time he went ahead. He had set up a super large illusion array underground. Moreover, it was a very high-level illusion array. Only powerful warriors like Emperor Yoshing could detect this formation of illusion. Average demon scouts would not be able to detect it. After the formation was built, Lu Li set up an ambush for the worms of the void at the bottom of the formation. He collected all the worms of the void that escaped last time. Even though hundreds of millions of worms of the void were killed, the remaining ones all split up. Lu Li gained another billions of worms of the void. The worms of the void could split up quickly. What was more, there were so many demon slaves. Lu Li wanted more worms of the void, so he could devour some demon slaves. Soon, tens of billions of worms of the void were split up. He was not worried about the death of the worms of the void. Killing hundreds of millions of worms of the void was nothing for Emperor Yoshing. After the billions of worms of the void were set up, Lu Li went to several other places to set up formations with tens of millions of worms of the void. This time, he wanted to do something big. He wanted the demon army to be surrounded by the worms of the void and kill about 10 million demons at one go. The demon army kept coming. Lu Li hid in the formation of illusion underground. The average demon scouts could not detect him. Lu Li set up some inhibition formations nearby. The demon scouts would be triggered when they passed by. The low-level demons were not familiar with inhibition formations. They did not know that the scouts had triggered inhibition formations. It's about time. Lu Li did not use psychic power to check. He only sensed based on the number of times the demon scouts had touched the inhibition formations. Usually, the demon scouts would be 3,000 miles ahead of the demon army. Therefore, it was easy to estimate. Worms of the void from the east move out. Lu Li had the mother worm to give the order. The worms of the void in the east dashed out from the ground and began to attack anything they saw. The demon army had just passed by. When they saw the worms of the void, they panicked. Lu Li was hiding underground. Hearing the demons roar, he did not hesitate anymore. He ordered, "Worms of the void from the other sides, move out." As soon as the order was given, the void worms lying in ambush all swarmed out and surrounded them from all directions. Right at that moment, a surge of demonic energy spread out. Emperor Yoshing had locked onto Lu Li with psychic power. Ha ha! Great Emperor Yoshing, you realized it too late. Lu Li laughed out loud and dashed into the one-way teleportation formation that had been set up. Before he left, he gave an order to the queen bug, and the billions of void bugs that were lying in ambush swept forward. Lu Li, Emperor Yoshing bit his teeth and yelled. But he had no time to curse Lu Li. This was because the void worm army was coming from all directions. If they did not immediately arrange for the demon army to escape, countless demons would be devoured by the void worms. Everyone fly up. Great Emperor Yoshing roared as a demonic aura burst forth from his body, suppressing the incoming void worm. His origin energy of the demon was powerful and could slow down the void worms. However, there were too many of them. It was impossible for him to suppress them all at once. All the demons flew up. Seeing that the void worms were going after them as well, Emperor Yoshing shouted at once, "Leave 3 to 5 warriors in each battalion, or none of us will be able to escape." There were 100 demons in each battalion. Leaving 3 to 5 was to be sacrificed to attract the void worms. If no demon went to attract the void worms would not let them go. By then, more demons would die. Emperor Yoshing gave an order. The higher-level demons that had escaped immediately sent some to their deaths. The lower-level demons could not resist the orders of the higher-level demons. They had to go to their deaths. This was a clever move. The void worms had no intelligence. The order they received was to attack all living beings nearby. As long as there were living beings to eat, the void worms would not choose to attack other living beings. The demons could fly fast. A group of demons flew up and then fled into the distance. Some of the void worms caught up, but the demon army sent some low-level demons to their deaths. They easily stalled the void worm army. 2 10-winged demons and 1 disguised 10-winged demon used their demonic aura and special methods to suppress the void worm army. An hour later, the entire demon army fled. Although the demons retreated in an orderly manner, they still suffered heavy losses. In just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, millions of demons had been attacked by the void worms. Once the void worms entered their bodies, they were basically dead. Emperor Yoshing looked at the demon corpses on the ground. There were even some 6-winged and 8-winged demons that had been eaten. There was no anger on his face. Only his eyes flashed with bone-deep hatred. He was the emperor of the demon world. All the demons were his people. He could order millions of demons to die. He could order 10-winged demons to sacrifice themselves. But that was for the great cause of the demon world. It was for a better tomorrow for the demon world. Those demon experts and demons had died a worthy death. He did not feel too sad. But now, these demons were being slaughtered. They were being tortured to death by a human. Just like how the demon race slaughtered human martial artists, the experts of the god world would also be furious. 6 million. After a moment, an 8-winged demon flew over and reported, "We have lost at least 6 million people this time. If it were not for the fact that you ordered them to retreat in time and let some of our people cover the retreat, the death toll would be more than 10 million. Another 10-winged demon added with sorrow, "More than 100 lords have died. This time is a great loss." Phew. Emperor Yoshing closed his eyes in pain. He thought for a while and said, "We will remember this debt of blood. Send my order. Move faster. Our target is the Star Sand City." "Emperor," the 10-winged demon said after a moment of hesitation, "how about we split up the army? In this way, it will be more difficult for Lu Li to kill them. We just need to have them gather at the Star Sand City. Otherwise, we'll be a big target. Lu Li can catch up at any time and release the void worms to devour many of our people." "Split up? No." Emperor Yoshing refused decisively. "We must stay together." "Why not?" The 10-winged demon tried to persuade again. "Emperor, if we split up, how long will it take for Lu Li to kill them one by one? Every time we gather together, he can kill 1 million of us by releasing a void worm." "I have my reasons." Emperor Yoshing waved his hand. "No matter how great the loss is, we cannot split up." "Okay, enough. Carry out my order." If the demon army split up, how could they lure Lu Li to the Star Sand City? They could not kill Lu Li. Unless the demon army fled back to the demon realm, no place in the divinity would be safe. No matter how they ran, they would be devoured by Lu Li one by one. "Lu Li, I will let you be arrogant for a while longer." Emperor Yoshing sneered. His eyes grew colder as he murmured, "When you arrive at the Star Sand City, it will be your burial ground. Even a second tribulation, heaven immortal, will die in the blood demon formation." Chapter 1692. The demon army marched on, and Lu Li chased after them. After killing 6 million demons, the worms of the void split again. Lu Li now had a horrifying number of worms of the void. Therefore, Lu Li didn't want to take any more risks. He chased after the demon army and let out the worms of the void when he caught up. The worms of the void were faster than the demon army. Emperor Yoshing could only send some demons to their deaths each time. Every time Lu Li released the worms of the void, he would fly away immediately. He didn't give Emperor Yoshing a chance to get close to him. Lu Li only released a small number of worms of the void, just over 1 billion. He wouldn't feel bad even if Emperor Yoshing killed all of them. But did Emperor Yoshing dare to stay and kill the worms of the void? He didn't dare to leave the demon army. Otherwise, Lu Li would seize the chance to kill a large number of demon warriors. This was an interesting scene. Lu Li would go after an army of demons by himself. Every time he released the worms of the void, Emperor Yoshing would send out 100,000 to cover his retreat. 100,000, 1 million, 100 million. Lu Li could come and attack almost every day. It would take the demon army at least 2 months to fly back to the Sea of Demons. That was enough time for Lu Li to attack dozens of times. Even if they made it back to the Sea of Demons, Lu Li wouldn't give up unless he went back to the realm of demons. Lu Li did not dare to push too hard. Otherwise, if great Emperor Yoshing ordered all the demons to disperse and slaughter the human race, then the 3 10-winged demons would rush into the land of Yuyan. At that time, it would be a life and death struggle. Therefore, Lu Li only released 1 billion worms of the void at one time and was satisfied with 100,000 demons each time. If he released 10 billion worms of the void at one time, the demon army would have to send out 500,000 demons to stop them. Lu Li's goal was to nibble away at the demon army bit by bit. This way, Emperor Yoshing wouldn't feel too much pain, but could be eaten away bit by bit. Lu Li's ultimate goal was to drive the demon army back to the realm of demons, and then find a way to destroy or seal that entrance. He was still too weak to kill the 10-winged demons. Nobody in the divinity could do that. Being able to drive the evil demon army back would be the greatest victory. The news of Lu Li's successive victories was quickly spread across the divinity and to the land of Yuyan. The entire divinity was thrilled to know that Lu Li was driving the army of demons out of the divinity all by himself, and that 100,000 demons would be killed every time. Lu Li's reputation grew. He had surpassed Lord Ji to become the most powerful warrior in the divinity. Lord Ji's battle strength was very strong, but Lord Ji did not kill too many demons. Furthermore, Lord Ji was dead. People were always forgetful and realistic. At this moment, whoever could save them would be the hero, and they would trust that person. Even though Lu Li was labeled as a thief, most people chose to forget about it. A small number of people were dissatisfied with Lord Ji and the Four Forces, believing that they had wronged Lu Li. Lu Li repaid evil with kindness. He was a true saint, a true hero of the human race, a guardian deity. Something's not right. In the Longevity Mountain, Pan Yuqin sorted out the recent information reported by the scouts and said to Ling Qingyan, who was holding the spirit beast, "Prince of Yin, the demons continue to retreat. It seems that they are ready to escape into the Demon Sea area. What's wrong with that?" Ling Qingyan patted the spirit beast on her chest and said with a smile, "Yuxing cannot control Lu Li's worm of void. Lu Li's tactics are good. What else can the demons do apart from retreating? Yuxing will not give up so easily." Pan Yuqin shook her head and said, "There is something else that I find strange. If they are really retreating, why doesn't he disperse the army of demons and regroup at the Demon Sea area? In that case, it will be more difficult for Lu Li to hunt down the demons. Now, Lu Li can catch up with them easily. Yuxing will have to send out 100,000 demons at a time. That is strange." Ling Qingyan picked up the spirit beast and threw it aside. He adjusted the neckline of his chest, revealing a touch of greasy white and proud chest that could make many men drool. She stood up, walked around, and said, "Yuxing is good at planning. Back at the Gold Sun Island, if it weren't for Lu Li, we would have all died. Later on, Lord Ji was killed. That is enough to prove that he is good at planning. This time, he must have something planned." Ling Qingyan walked to the table, looked at the map, circled it, and asked, "Have the scouts checked all the nearby prefectures?" "Yes, we have." Pan Yuqi nodded and said, "There are many scouts in several prefectures around the demon army. All the teleportation altars of Space-Time Office have been mobilized. They're all our scouts. That's what I'm curious about. There aren't any demon masters nearby, only some demon slaves. I didn't notice anything amiss, so I don't know what old demon Yuxing is planning. Are the 3 10-winged demons in the army?" Ling Qingyan remembered something. Last time, Lu Li was almost ambushed because one of the 10-winged demons was actually an 8-winged demon which misled them. I can't be sure. Pan Yuqin shook her head and said, the 10-winged demons are in the demon army. Our top scouts don't dare to get close to the demon army. Otherwise, they will be discovered and killed immediately. Expand the range of investigation. Ling Qingyan drew a circle and said, send out all the scouts. If there are no more, ask the 4 super forces to send out powerful warriors. Also, send someone to tell Lu Li about our suspicions. Tell him to be careful. That is the only way. Pan Yuqin frowned. She had been under the most pressure lately because Lu Li needed her accurate information. Lu Li needed her accurate information. If anything went wrong and Lu Li was killed, then she would be condemned by the entire divinity. Wait. Ling Qingyan suddenly waved his hand and said, you take care of things here. I won't be of much help here. I will go and talk to Lu Li in person. I will also go and check out the surrounding area. That is the only way to be safe. Lu Li is too important to the divinity. Nothing can happen to him. That would be great. Pan Yuqin was delighted. Ling Qingyan was the youngest among the 9 immortal lords, and she was actually much younger. But she was the most intelligent one. Otherwise, how could she become the leader of the Yuan land when she was not so powerful? With Ling Qingyan there, Lu Li's safety would be greatly enhanced. Qin. Ling Qingyan handed a jade talisman to Pan Yuqin and said, crush this jade talisman if you need anything. I will come back as soon as possible. Not only do you have to monitor the demons, you have to keep an eye on the 4 super forces as well. Don't let them trick Lu Li. Be careful yourself. Pan Yuqin nodded. Ling Qingyan picked up the beast and walked out, swaying her bum with a smile. At the door, she turned around and said with a sweet smile, I'm going to see your sweetheart soon. Do you have a message for her? Prince of Yin, we are facing a formidable enemy. Don't tease me. Pan Yuqin blushed and said shyly. Ling Qingyan giggled. Her breasts were shaking, which was very attractive. She waved her hand and said, don't worry, Qin. I will keep an eye on him for you. I will not let other women hook up with him. Hook up? Ling Qingyan had already left. Pan Yuqin's expression became slightly unnatural. She was not afraid of other women hooking up with Lu Li, but she was afraid that Ling Qingyan would steal from her. Chapter 1693. Half a month had passed. Lu Li had been on the hunt for half a month. He had killed over 1 million demons easily. Apart from retreating to the east, the demon army did nothing else. Every time Lu Li caught up, Emperor Yoshing would send 100,000 demons to their deaths. Of course, on several occasions, Emperor Yoshing would lurk among the 100,000 demons, trying to kill Lu Li. Sometimes, Emperor Yoshing would lurk behind the demon army, ready to pounce out and kill Lu Li in one move when Lu Li was chasing the demon army. Such a pity. Lu Li was very perceptive. He was very careful and would change the direction of his attacks every time. Sometimes he would go after the demon army. Sometimes he would go to the front, and sometimes he would attack from the flanks. Also, Lu Li would not get too close to the demon army. Usually, he would release the worms of the void when he was 300,000 miles away. The worms of the void were fast. It was too easy for them to catch up with the demon army. As a matter of fact, Lu Li himself was wondering why Emperor Yoshing didn't split up. Lu Li came to a conclusion. Yoshing was unwilling to give up. He would try his best to kill Lu Li. If the demon army didn't split up, Lu Li would have to go after the demon army. In that case, Emperor Yoshing would have a chance to kill Lu Li. On the other hand, the divinity was a vast place. Lu Li could kill some here and some there. It would be hard for Emperor Yoshing to find Lu Li. The 3 10-winged demons were all in the demon army. This was what Lu Li sensed through the worms of the void. Emperor Yoshing would often go after Lu Li with the other 2 10-winged demons. Therefore, Lu Li didn't overthink, but he was more careful. One day, in the Fiery Rain office, Lu Li was about to go after the demon army. When he passed by a valley, he sensed something was wrong. There was music coming from the valley. He was passing by the valley. There was still some distance between him and the valley. Lu Li flew toward the valley at once. At the same time, he released many worms of the void and put his guard up. He used psychic power to check. Soon, He rolled his eyes, speechless. There were some buildings in the valley, but many had been destroyed. Clearly, this valley used to be a private estate of a major family. The view was good, but there was no sign of human habitation. Many buildings had been destroyed, and the place was dilapidated. At the moment, on the grassland next to a pond in the valley, a beautiful lady was playing the zither. Next to her was a collapsed castle. The lady's beauty formed a sharp contrast with the ruined landscape. Whoosh, Luli flew into the valley and landed on the grassland. The lady did not look at Luli. She continued to play the zither with her eyes closed. From Luli's angle, he could see the lady's beautiful face and her exaggerated curves. Luli didn't say anything. Instead, he sat down with his legs crossed and took out a goblet of wine from his interspatial ring. He listened to the music, looked at the beauties, and drank the wine. The woman was Ling Qingyan. Since Ling Qingyan was here, she must have been searched many times. As such, Luli wasn't worried about any demons lurking around. Tracking had been quite tiring recently, so listening to some music was a good way to relax. At the end of the song, Ling Qingyan's long eyelashes trembled slightly. He revealed a beautiful smile and said softly, "You sure are comfortable. Aren't you afraid that Ben Wang will be controlled by the devil and eat you?" He. Luli took out a flagon and a goblet. He poured a goblet of wine and handed it to Ling Qingyan. "Being eaten by a beauty like Prince of Yin, I will be dissolute even in death." "Ah!" Ling Qingyan laughed lewdly. She threw Luli a flirtatious look, which made his heart skip a beat. Ling Qingyan took a sip of the wine and said, "Little man, I didn't know that apart from being powerful and having so many skills, you were good at flirting with women as well." Ling Qingyan's flirtatious look reminded Lu Li of someone, Madame Yin from the Heaven Reverse Universe. They were both mature and unrestrained. Every look, every movement, and even their voices could seduce men. Every part of this lady's body was a weapon. She was subduing men invisibly, trying to make them submit to her. Of course, Ling Qingyan was more powerful than Madame Yin. Madame Yin only relied on her looks. This Prince of Yin must have cultivated such skills. Not only was she powerful, she was also Prince of Yin, the most powerful warrior in the divinity. With such an aura, she was more charming and men would have a strong desire to conquer her. That being said, under normal circumstances, men would not be able to conquer this lady. Instead, they would be conquered by her and led by the nose. The name of the Lamia was not an undeserved one. The 9 Immortal Kings. Ling Qingyan could represent the 9 Immortal Kings. It was not hard to imagine how capable she was. Luli put on a smile. He shook the cup in his hand and said, "Princess Yin, please don't laugh at me. Princess Yin is so beautiful and so charming. I can't help but fall in love with you and be willing to be your servant." "Ha!" Ling Qingyan giggled. She rolled her eyes at Lu Li and said, "You are calm. Your breathing and heartbeat are not changing. It means that you have no feelings for me. Is it because I am not beautiful enough? Or is it because your state of mind has been cultivated to the state of a saint and you are above the mortal world?" No. Lu Li waved his hand and said, "My appreciation for Prince of Yin comes from the bottom of my heart, not from the outside. To me, Prince of Yin is like a fairy. I can only admire her from afar, and I don't dare to have any blasphemous thoughts. Therefore, I'm trying my best to suppress my desires." Ha! Ling Qingyan laughed in a lewd manner. It took her a long time to stop. She raised her goblet to Lu Li and said, "Man, I don't know if you're the most powerful warrior in the divinity, but you are definitely the best in lying through your teeth. I am convinced. You flatter me, Prince of Yin." Lu Li raised his goblet as if nothing had happened. Ling Qingyan was right. He was lying through his teeth. He did not have the courage to fall in love with this lady. She deserved her reputation. Since the Lamia could be so famous, she must have incredible means. Lu Li didn't want to be at her mercy and be manipulated by her. This woman was poisonous. Many men knew this, but they were willing to drink her poison. Lu Li was not that stupid. He had had enough of being controlled by others. "Okay, let's get down to business." Ling Qingyan's face became serious. The charm on her body disappeared, and she became righteous. With the domineering atmosphere on her body, she became awe-inspiring and inviolable. She had a kind of noble temperament, but it was easier to arouse men's desire to conquer. She said, "Based on what Qin and I have deduced, Yuxing must have made some arrangements. I am here to warn you and to find out for you how they did it." "You will go and find out?" Luli was surprised. Then he said, "Let the scouts do it. What if something happens to you? How can I answer to the powerful warriors at the Yuyan land?" "Uh-huh." Ling Qinyan combed her hair to the back of her head and straightened her body. She looked more heroic and said, "Little man, you finally know how to care for others? Don't worry, I'm not a pretty face. You have reached the peak of the divinity with your saber and you alone. I am also trying to conquer the Yuyan land all by myself. Don't belittle me." Whoosh, Ling Qinyan put away her zither and flew up. Her movements were graceful like an immortal. In midair, she turned around and said with a sweet smile, "Man, if anything happens to me, you must save me." Chapter 1694. Ling Qinyan personally took over the scouting work of the nearby scouts. She herself had been scouting as well. She knew the situation of several prefectures near the demon army like the back of her hand. Luli was more assured now that she was in command. He went after the demon army. He planned to drive them back to the sea area of demons first. Everything was normal during this time. Emperor Yoshing was trying his best to ambush Luli. However, Luli was very careful. Emperor Yoshing didn't stray too far away from the demon army. Luli, on the other hand, wouldn't get too close to the demon army. He just controlled the worms of the void to chase after them from a distance. The number of worms of the void had reached a horrifying level. Luli couldn't contain many of them anymore. He had to control some hide underground. Time moved on. 100,000 demons were killed every day. Small as the number was, the demon army was dwindling bit by bit. The demon army's morale was at the lowest point. Many six-winged and eight-winged demons were thinking about going back to the realm of demons. Emperor Yoshing was as calm as a rock. As the emperor of the realm of demons, how could he command the realm of demons if he lost his composure in such a situation? He was a man of forbearance. If it were any other powerful demon warriors, they would have given the order to retreat or spread out to kill indiscriminately. He could trap and kill Lord Ji and the others because he was a man of forbearance. Losing some demon army was not a big deal. It didn't matter that the demon army's morale was low. As long as Luli could be killed, everything could be turned around. Conquering the divinity would be a piece of cake. "What is the situation at the Star Sand City?" Emperor Yoshing asked another 10-winged demon after checking the map. They were only 4 prefectures away from the Star Sand City. That 10-winged demon's name was Yuwang. He had sent an 8-winged demon who was good at stealth to the Star Sand City and had just received some news. He reported, "The formation has been set up, but our army is surrounded by human scouts. In a few days, the scouts will go to the Star Sand City. I am afraid the human scouts will notice something is wrong. Luli won't fall for it." Emperor Yoshing's expressions turned cold. The blood demon formation looked fine from the outside, but it was easy to see inside. If there were scouts everywhere, it would arouse Lu Li's suspicion when they noticed something was wrong. If Lu Li had doubts and did not dare to enter Star Sand City, then not only would Yoda have been sacrificed for nothing, but the demon army would have been completely defeated as well. So many demons would have died for nothing. "Go over there immediately." Emperor Yoshing thought for a moment before issuing an order. "If any scouts approach Star Sand City, kill them all. Do not leak any information about the situation within Star Sand City. You can think of a way to send a powerful demon slave over there to mislead them. I don't care what you do, just don't let them find out what's going on in Star Sand City, and don't arouse their suspicions. At the same time, I'll also make arrangements here to attract their attention." "All right." Yuwang nodded and quietly left. Great Emperor Yoshing immediately ordered, "Let 10 six-winged demons lead 50,000 troops and attack the north and south. The target of the North Army is the land of Yuyan, while the army in the south can attack the prefecture in the south. No demon dared to disobey great Emperor Yoshing's orders. Immediately, a demon overlord mobilized 10 six-winged demons, each leading an army of 50,000. Great Emperor Yoshing didn't decide their route. They were told to go to the north and south. The movement of the demon army caught the attention of human scouts. Those demons flew away in a straight line. 50,000 was not a large number, but it was not a small number either. It felt like demons were everywhere. The scouts sent a message to Ling Qingyan, who went to find Lu Li again. Lu Li was resting in a cave. Ever since he went to the Heaven's Tribulation, he hadn't had a good rest. His soul was tired, so he found a cave to sleep. Before Ling Qingyan got close, Lu Li woke up. He had built many small inhibition formations nearby. They were all inhibition formations of Ancient God. There are no signs of inhibition formations, but he would know once someone was close. He sensed the aura of a human and smelled a familiar fragrance, and a faint smile appeared on his face. He closed his eyes and pretended to be asleep. His heartbeat was steady and long. Judging by his appearance, he was in a deep sleep. Ling Qingyan learned from the scouts that Lu Li was nearby. She came like a fox, and soon she sensed where Lu Li was. She heard Lu Li's long breaths. She blinked her eyes with a cunning look. Then she vanished and drifted into the cave. She was invisible. When she moved, there was no ripple in space, not to mention the sound of wind. She sneaked into the cave and saw that Lu Li was still asleep. The cunning look in her eyes grew. She moved closer to Lu Li and reached for his neck gently. She didn't use any killing intent, or Lu Li would sense it. She wanted to see if Lu Li could wake up before she touched his neck. Lu Li was so powerful and famous. She wanted to see if Lu Li was as powerful as people said he was. Lu Li disappointed her. She grabbed Lu Li's neck easily. Lu Li didn't open his eyes. If she wanted to attack, Lu Li would be dead by now. Whoosh! However, right at that moment, Lu Li moved like lightning. He put his arms around her waist and pulled her. She threw herself into Lu Li's arms. Lu Li put on a mocking smile. He opened his eyes, looked at Ling Qingyan, who was close to him, and said, "Prince of Yin, this is your fault. You took advantage of me when I was asleep." Ling Qingyan could have moved away, but she let Lu Li pull her down. She said with anger in her eyes, "Little man, you are so naughty. You are awake, and you are still flirting with me." Lu Li could not help but feel intoxicated with the soft and fragrant jade in his arms and the amazing sensation on his chest. Looking at the beautiful face and the cunning eyes, Lu Li suddenly had an epiphany. Ling Qingyan must have known that he was pretending to be asleep. She pretended not to know and threw herself into his arms on purpose. This lady was indeed a Lamia. She was so clever that she knew how to create an ambiguous situation. But since he had already hugged her, Lu Li was not a gentleman. He would be a fool not to take advantage of her. His other hand immediately went up and grabbed Ling Qingyan's perky buttocks. He smiled at Ling Qingyan and said, "Prince of Yin, aren't you afraid of getting burned by playing with fire? I, Lu Li, am not a good man. I am a thief." "Ha!" Ling Qingyan stuck her tongue out and looked at Lu Li provocatively. "I am still a Lamia. Are you not afraid that I will poison you to death?" No, nothing could stand a woman's provocation, not to mention such a stunning beauty. Lu Li turned around and pressed Ling Qingyan under his body. He kissed her and mumbled, come on. Let me see how you can poison me to death." Chapter 1695. This woman was toxic. Lu Li was just joking. He believed that Prince of Yin was just flirting with him and would not let him have his way. Therefore, he pretended to be a pervert. He wanted to take advantage of Ling Qingyan, and then Ling Qingyan would push him away. Lu Li thought he knew a lot about this kind of femme fatale. This kind of woman would hang around many men, and she would flirt with many outstanding men. She would make them feel that they could have her as long as they took one step closer. But they would fly away like a butterfly when you approached them. The more they wanted what they could not have, the more men would want it. Many men would circle around them, dreaming that they could have her one day. But in the end, they would realize that they were always one step away from having her. They would be toyed with by that woman. Luli believed that Ling Qingyan was this kind of woman. She was flirting with him, trying to control him, and then the entire divinity. But this time, he realized he was wrong. He had almost unbuttoned Ling Qingyan's dress. Half of her breasts were exposed. Her dress was torn as well, revealing her long and round legs. Luli had almost touched her entire body, but she did not push Luli away. Instead, she looked shy and amorous, as if she was waiting for Luli to attack. At this moment, Luli almost lost control. He had been under a lot of pressure recently. The fate of the human race and the divinity rested on his shoulders. He had to vent the pressure. The demon army had been defeated. There was still hope for a complete victory. Therefore, Luli could relax. Inevitably, he was distracted, but at this moment, he managed to control himself. He had no feelings for Prince of Yin, and he did not know this woman well. What was more, she was famous. Luli would be in trouble if he fell into her trap. Seeing that Luli had stopped, Ling Qingyan opened her eyes. She said with sarcasm, "What? You are scared? The great hero of the human race, the guardian, there are things that you are scared to do." Being provoked again, Luli's breaths were short. He reached out his hand violently. Staring at Ling Qingyan coldly, he said, "Prince of Yin, are you really playing with fire?" "Yes." Ling Qingyan's sarcasm grew. She provoked, "I am betting that you do not have the guts. I am betting that you are a coward." Rip, Luli's other hand tore off Ling Qingyan's dress violently, revealing a beautiful area. Luli's breaths were getting shorter and shorter. He swallowed his saliva and said in a beast-like voice, "Prince Yin, don't push me." "Kiki." Ling Qingyan laughed, causing a burst of waves. She closed her eyes, revealing a look of longing, and said, "Little man, take me. Let me be the happiest woman in the world." Boom! Luli felt like his soul was about to explode. Ling Qingyan's words were like the best medicine in the world, driving Luli completely crazy. However, at that moment, an air-piercing sound came from outside, startling the two of them. Whoosh! Luli stood up as fast as lightning. Ling Qingyan took out a dress and put on as well. They both took a deep breath to calm themselves down. Luli walked out in strides. "Lord Lu," a scout came from outside and reported, "In at most 2 hours, an evil demon army will arrive. There will be a total of 50,000 evil demons, led by a 6-winged evil demon." "I see. Off you go." Luli waved his hand. Soon, he was embarrassed. He almost did something wrong. He was not afraid of being controlled by Ling Qingyan, but it was true that they had no emotional basis. Ling Qingyan walked out. The blush on her face had faded away. She stood side by side with Luli, tilted her head, and said, "Do you want to continue?" Luli was even more embarrassed. He laughed it off and said, "It is a nice day." "Well, Prince Yin, what are you doing here?" "Yes," Prince Yin said with a pitiful expression. "The hero of the divinity is lonely. I am here to sleep with him, but he doesn't like me." Luli was angered. He turned to Ling Qingyan and said, "Prince Yin, don't play with fire. I'm not a saint. Don't regret it if you do something beastly." "What is there to regret?" Ling Qingyan was not afraid of Luli at all. She smiled and her eyes were filled with admiration. She said affectionately, "My lord, you're the most ideal lover for all the girls at the Land of Chaos. It is our fortune to be loved by you. If you shout now and say that you need some girls to sleep with you, I promise you that beautiful girls will line up from here to the land of Yin. Lord Lu, I really want to sleep with you." Luli was convinced. There was nothing he could do about this vixen. He had to beg for mercy and said, "All right, Sister Prince Yin, I am wrong. I am afraid of you. Can you let me go?" Prince Yin was overjoyed. He put on a serious expression and said, "Okay, I will stop teasing you." Luli did have business to attend to this time. The demons have split up. There are 10 armies, and they are going to the north and the south respectively. Each army has 50,000 evil demons. What is Yuxing up to? Luring the tiger away from the mountain? Fishing in troubled waters? Luli frowned. He couldn't figure out what Yuxing was up to. He thought about it and said, "Send a message back and ask Zhuqiu Luo to mobilize powerful warriors to destroy the 10 armies. I will go after the main force of the demons. You will have to pay more attention to intelligence. Also, take care of your own safety. If Yu Xing is hiding in one of the armies, the consequences will be unimaginable. The 10 armies are nothing to be afraid of. Ling Qingyan waved her hand and said, Yu Xing will not send 500,000 evil demons to their deaths for no reason. He is doing this for 2 reasons. The first is to distract you so that his army can escape. The second is to cover up something. The 10 armies are doing this on purpose to distract you. Maybe they are up to something bigger. Okay, I will be more careful. Luli nodded. Ling Qingyan thought about it and said, let's leave the 10 armies alone. I will go and find out the nearby information myself. If you don't hear from me every other day, don't go with the demon army recklessly. Do you understand? Okay, I will listen to you. Luli knew this was not a joke. If he were to be killed, then the divinity would be doomed eternally. Yu Xing was a man of deep foresight. Even Lord Ji was killed by him. Luli could not follow in the footsteps of others. Okay, Ling Qingyan waved her hand and said, I will go and find out the situation. Be careful. If you need me to come back and serve you, just send a message to me. I will wash myself clean and send myself to you. Ling Qingyan flew away with a gust of fragrance. Luli thought about the scene in the cave again. His heart skipped a beat. He couldn't figure out the real intention of the Lamia. Did she really want to sleep with him? Did she like him? Or did she want to use this chance to build a relationship with him so that she could consolidate her position and power after he ascended? Or did she want to take the chance to control him and then the entire divinity? He could not tell. Chapter 1696. After Ling Qingyan left, Luli was more careful. He was not in a hurry to kill the demons. Instead, he gathered information and waited for the 10 demon armies to leave. If Emperor Yoshing was hiding among the 10 demon armies, he could fall into their trap. Therefore, Luli decided to wait until the 10 demon armies were far away. After all, there were only hundreds of thousands of demons for Zhuoqiu Lu and the others to deal with. They couldn't even kill 500,000 demons. They might as well all die. After a while, Luli found nothing out of the ordinary. The 10 demon armies had gone away. The scouts were tens of millions of miles away from the demon armies. One attack. 3 days later, Luli decided to launch an attack to see if Emperor Yoshing was among the army of demons. He followed them, and after he was sure that they were millions of miles away from the demon armies, he sent out billions of worms of the void. The billions of worms of the void were moving fast. Even if the demon armies noticed them, they wouldn't be able to avoid the worms of the void. Luli sent out a few scouts to the demon army, even though it was possible that they would die in battle. But to make sure that Emperor Yoshing was among the demon armies, the sacrifice was worth it. Considering the speed of the worms of the void, a distance of millions of miles could be covered in an hour. The demon armies learned of the situation. They had to send out 100,000 demon warriors to their deaths to stall the worms of the void. Emperor Yoshing had shown up. If he didn't come out to stop the worms of the void, not even 100,000 demon warriors could stop the worms of the void. He and 2 other 10-winged demons went to stop the worms of the void, which was clearly seen by the scouts. Luli couldn't figure it out. If Emperor Yoshing was among the demon armies, then why did he send out 10 demon warriors? Were they going to die for no reason? Luli couldn't figure it out. He had to go on and nibble away at the demon armies. Ling Qingyan had been sending messages every day. So far, nothing had gone wrong. Zhuoqiu Lu and the others received Lu Li's message and took actions at once. Tens of thousands of powerful warriors were gathered and led by Zhuoqiu Lu and Luo Guan to kill the 10 demon armies. The demon armies were made up of low-level demons. The most powerful one was a 6-winged demon. Led by a group of supremes in the divinity, it was as easy as cutting watermelons. Reports of victory kept coming in, and Zhuoqiu Lu bragged about their achievements, saying how many troops they had mobilized, and after bloody battles, they had annihilated millions of evil demons. Luli smiled after hearing the news, but didn't say anything. If Zhuqilu and the others wanted a fig leaf, then he would give it to them. In any case, as long as he repelled the devil, he would be the strongest person in the immortal world. With the strength of his current physical body, even Zhuqilu would not be able to kill him. What did he have to fear? Another 5 days passed. Luli had attacked the demon army 3 more times, but today he suddenly stopped, because he didn't receive the message sent by Ling Qingyan today. A few days ago, Ling Qingyan said that if she didn't send someone to deliver a message one day, then Luli should stop the hunt. Ling Qingyan didn't send anyone to report. In other words, something might have happened to her. Ling Qingyan? 3 10-winged demons were here. So what could have happened to her? Who could have killed her? Even if they wanted to kill him, they should kill him. What was the point of killing Ling Qingyan? Send this to Pan Yuqin. Tell her to send someone to find Ling Qingyan and find out what is going on. Luli smelled something fishy. He told scouts to send a message to Pan Yuqin at once. He couldn't control all the scouts, and it would be troublesome to control them. Pan Yuqin could mobilize all the scouts, which made it easier for her to investigate. Another day passed, and Ling Qingyan still didn't send any message. Luli's mind was weighed down. Something must have happened to Ling Qingyan when there was no message for 2 days. She was either trapped or killed. On the 3rd day, Pan Yuqin sent a message that Ling Qingyan's jade talisman of life was still intact. Luli was relieved. This was good news. At least, Ling Qingyan was not dead. He had only met Ling Qingyan for a few times, and they weren't even friends. But this girl had left a deep impression on him. A few days ago, they were having an ambiguous relationship. Naturally, Luli didn't want anything to happen to her. Also, Ling Qingyan went to investigate for him. She took the risk for him. Now that something was wrong, how could he stand aside? How could he explain to the 8 immortal kings of the Yuyan land? How could he explain to Pan Yuqin? Where did Prince of Yin go missing? He asked in a low voice. Their scouts were everywhere. They should know when and where Ling Qingyan disappeared, right? Star Sand Mansion. The scout reported 7 or 8 scouts went missing with her. All of them are top-level scouts. All of them went missing from the Star Sand Mansion. Lady Qin has sent many scouts to the Star Sand Mansion. I think there will be news soon. Star Sand Mansion? Luli took out the map and took a look. The Star Sand Mansion was not far away. The army of the demon was about to enter the Star Sand Mansion. No, I have to go to the Star Sand Mansion, Luli murmured. The scout bowed and said, Lord, Lady Qin said that she will find out about the situation at the Star Sand Mansion as soon as possible. She asked you not to take the risk at the Star Sand Mansion before the situation is clear. Not go. Luli raised his eyebrows. If he didn't go now, the army of the demon would enter the Star Sand Mansion soon. If Ling Qingyan and the others were trapped, they would all become demon slaves. That being said, Pan Yuqin's worry was not unfounded. Ling Qingyan was so powerful, but he was trapped. This meant that Yuxing must have something planned. If Luli went, he might be trapped as well. Luli could die in no hurry. By then, the entire divinity would be doomed. To take such a big risk for Ling Qingyan, it was indeed not worth it in the eyes of outsiders. However, if he didn't go to the Star Sand Mansion, Ling Qingyan and the others would die for sure. Ling Qingyan was here for Luli's safety. He had hugged, touched, and kissed the girl. How could he live with himself if he had to watch her die? He would live with guilt for the rest of his life. Go! Luli made up his mind. He was strong, and there were hundreds of billions of worms of the void. He had Blood Fairy to help him. It was unlikely that he could be trapped. As long as he could not be trapped, Yuxing would not be able to kill him. Soon, Luli made up his mind. He told the scout, I will go to the Star Sand Mansion. Tell Pan Yuqin that I will be careful. Tell the scouts to work with me. Also, tell Pan Yuqin that if she is trapped, I will go and rescue her as well. Buzzing. Chapter 1697. The demon army was about to enter the Star Sand Prefecture, which was once massacred by Luli. There was almost no one left in this prefecture. The ones that stayed were either killed or enslaved by demons. The only ones that could walk around in the Star Sand Prefecture were the scouts sent by Pan Yuqin. Because of Ling Qingyin's disappearance, Pan Yuqin sent over 1,000 scouts through the teleportation altar in the space-time office. Lu Li flew over. He began to explore the prefecture himself, and at the same time, he received messages from the scouts. Half a day later, Lu Li changed his direction and flew toward the Star Sand City. According to the scouts, more than a dozen scouts went missing. They went missing near the Star Sand City. It was possible that Ling Qinyin and the others went missing there as well. Lu Li told some scouts to gather at the Star Sand City. He had made up his mind to save people, but he wouldn't act rashly. After several hours, Lu Li arrived at the Star Sand City. There were dozens of scouts gathered here as well. They had been waiting for Lu Li. "Did you find anything special?" Lu Li asked. The dozens of scouts shook their heads. They had checked outside the Star Sand City several times, but found nothing. They didn't see anything strange in the Star Sand City either. That being said, once they entered the city, they wouldn't be able to come out. 3 of you will go into the Star Sand City. The rest of you, stay here and alert me if anything goes wrong. Lu Li waved his hand. 3 of them volunteered to go into the Star Sand City. Lu Li nodded but didn't say much. He just asked for their names. The 3 were excited to hear Lu Li asking for their names. They all knew that as long as they could survive this, they would achieve great success in the future. Lu Li would not mistreat them. Lu Li gave the 3 scouts 2 jade talismans each. The 2 jade talismans had different meanings. If one was broken, it meant that it was dangerous inside and they would die as soon as they went in. If one was broken, it meant that they were not dead but just trapped. Then, Lu Li asked the 3 scouts to rush into the city from 3 different directions at the same time. "Go ahead. If you die, I will take care of your funeral. I will take care of your families." Lu Li patted the 3 scouts on their shoulders. The 3 scouts looked at each other. Instead of fear, they grinned. As scouts, they had long been prepared to die. They were not sacrificing themselves for a single force, but for the great cause of the entire human race. It was worth it. Also, Lu Li had promised in person. What else did they have to worry about? At once, the 3 scouts snuck away. Lu Li called over the other scouts to report back the information. If the 3 of them really died, Pan Yuqin had to make proper arrangements for their funeral. Lu Li gazed at the Star Sand City in the distance. This was a prefectural city, and it must have been prosperous in the past. However, after being ravaged by the demons, it had become a dead city. Looking from afar, it was a scene of devastation. Many parts of the city walls had collapsed. Soon, the 3 scouts rushed into the city. Lu Li was nervous as he looked at the jade talisman in his hand. Soon, the 2 jade talismans were broken. Lu Li's eyes glowed when he saw it. The broken jade talismans meant that the 2 were trapped inside, but not dead. "Is there a big formation inside?" Lu Li's eyes flickered. He snuck underground and moved closer to the Star Sand City bit by bit. 3 miles away from the city, Lu Li stopped. Blood Fairy reached out her tentacles toward the bottom of the city. If there was a formation in the city, then Blood Fairy would be able to gather some information. As long as there was a formation, Lu Li and Blood Fairy would have a chance to crack it. In that case, there would be no problem. Blood Fairy silently probed. She was just a phantom, and she didn't have any aura or ripples. Probing would not cause any reaction. Her tentacles could reach out infinitely. Soon, she had checked the bottom of the city. Lu Li heard Blood Fairy's voice in his mind. "Master, there are no new formation stones or patterns under the city. Some of the formation stones are remnants. There is no sign of a new formation. In the city, I have checked as well. There is no fluctuation of inhibition formations." Blood Fairy was a master in the field of formations. Lu Li was relieved when she said that she did not find anything. Lu Li asked, "Then try to see if there are living beings in the city. How many are there? How many powerful ones?" Okay, Blood Fairy could sense the presence of living beings. Of course, Blood Fairy might be noticed, but it did not matter. As long as she could see clearly, Lu Li could attack by force. "There are living beings." A moment later, Blood Fairy replied, "There are 5 of them. 3 of them are weak, and 2 of them are strong. Their auras are similar to Master's. Similar to me. Then, they must be supreme warriors in the divinity. Luli nodded. There were 3 weak breaths. It should be the 3 scouts that went in just now. The scouts that went in before were probably all killed. Try again. You should have sensed the demons. Sense the aura of those 2 powerhouses. Is there any demonic aura? Luli began to release worms of the void. If one of the 2 was Ling Qingyan and the other was a demon, then Luli would go into the city. He would not be afraid, even if that demon was a 10-winged demon. His physical body might not be able to kill a 10-winged demon. One of them is a demon. Blood Fairy answered soon. The other is a human, a girl. Yes. Luli was relieved. Ling Qingyan was not dead. He must have been captured by the 10-winged demon. He wondered if he had been demonized. If so, then it would be troublesome. A 10-winged demon. Luli was ready to take action. If he waited for the demon army or Emperor Yoshing to come, he might not be able to survive, but Ling Qingyan would be killed or turned into a demon slave. Luli controlled billions of worms of the void to fly down the city while he sneaked into the city. He wanted to see if there was a formation under the city. It was better to be safe than sorry. He used psychic power to make sure that there were no inhibition formations here. Then, Luli flew up from underground. The worms of the void flew up as well. Luli scanned with psychic power and locked onto a demon. That demon was indeed a 10-winged demon. He was sitting on a throne in a castle. Ling Qingyan was sitting in the plaza outside the castle. Judging from his appearance, Ling Qingyan was not harmed and there was no sign of struggle on his face. Luli checked and confirmed that he was not demonized. Whoosh, the flagstones on the plaza cracked. Luli came out from underground. Many worms of the void came up as well and swarmed toward the castle. Luli looked into the castle. Through the thick dark fog, he saw a pair of blood-red eyes. Luli go. Ling Qingyan, who had been sitting with her legs crossed, suddenly opened her eyes. There was a faint red glow in her eyes. She shouted hysterically, "Go! Don't worry about it. Luli, go! Go!" The 10-winged demon in the castle stood up and said, "It is easy to get in, but difficult to get out. Not even your Lord Ji can leave the Blood Demon formation. Luli, the Star Sand City, will be your burial place." Chapter 1698. Swish, swish. As soon as Yuang finished his words, lines of blood appeared on the ground of the city. The lines of blood spread out at a horrifying speed and covered the entire city. Then, the lines of blood spread out from the city walls to the sky. Eventually, they covered the entire sky above the city. A huge fishing net covered the entire Star Sand City. It was fast, but not so fast that Luli could not react in time. But Luli did not move because he sensed a fatal danger. If he dashed out from the sky, the lines of blood would attack him and he would die immediately. It was a strange feeling. Given Luli's current defense, not even the 10-winged demon could kill him. What were the lines of blood? Why did they give him such a sense of fatal danger? What is this formation? Luli took out the cold blade. He looked around and at the lines of blood on the ground. At the same time, he told Blood Fairy to come out from under his feet to check the blood-red formation. Luli was not worried about being trapped in the formation. There was only a 10-winged demon here. Could this 10-winged demon kill Luli? Could this formation really trap him to death? The realm of demons wasn't good at using magic circles, but Luli didn't believe it. The 10-winged demon was not in a hurry to attack. He was releasing demonic energy. At the same time, from the lines of blood, demonic energy was spreading out as well. Luli did not care. He moved closer to Ling Qingyan. The 10-winged demon still did not move. It was as if he did not care that Luli had saved Ling Qingyan. It was as if he was sure that Luli would die today. "Luli, how can you be so silly? Didn't I tell you to leave when you didn't receive my message?" Ling Qingyan was still sitting with her legs crossed. She was not as spirited as before. Her eyes were glowing red. She must have been affected by the demonic energy. She looked at Luli in distress and said, "If anything happens to you, the entire divinity will be doomed." I, Ling Qingyan, will be the center of the entire divinity if I let billions of people in the divinity suffer because of me. How can I sit back and do nothing when something happens to you because of me? Luli said calmly. Then, he waved his hand and said, "Don't waste time. I am here. Leave the rest to me. Listen to me." Luli sped up. He approached Ling Qingyan and took out the wicked bead, trying to put her in. However, the wicked bead glowed, but could not take Ling Qingyan in. Ha ha ha. The 10-winged demon didn't come out. Instead, he laughed and said, "Luli, you could try teleportation. If you can teleport away, I'll admit defeat today." Luli drew a formation in the air with one hand. However, the golden door did not come out. His expression finally changed a little. The space here had been sealed. Spatial god equipment could not be used, nor could they fly through the void. The 10-winged demon walked out slowly. Luli had to step back with Ling Qingyan. He asked, "Prince of Yin, how are you doing? You can't release your battle prowess?" Ling Qingyan looked around and said bitterly, "The demonic aura here is different from the outside. The demonic aura here can corrode divine power. My divine power has been corroded by the demonic aura. I can't use my divine power now. You must figure out a way to kill this 10-winged demon, or else your abilities will be weakened. Okay, step back and protect yourself. I will go and kill this 10-winged demon." Luli patted Ling Qingyan's back and walked forward slowly with his saber in his hand. Only now did he understand why the 10-winged demon didn't take action. The longer one stayed in there, the weaker one's abilities would be. He must kill this 10-winged demon as soon as possible and then break the blood cage so that he could escape with Ling Qingyan. Countless worms of the void had swept out, filling up the inside and outside of the castles. However, what happened next made Lu Li's heart sink. The demonic aura around the 10-winged demon was different from that of regular demons. The demonic aura had a faint red glow. As soon as the worms of the void approached, the red and black demonic aura stopped moving. They were suppressed and could not enter the body of the 10-winged demon. Swish! Luli swung his saber. A ray of sword light came from the horizon. The sword light made a turn in the air and landed on the red and black airstream around the demon. Buzzing, the red and black demonic aura tumbled and formed a cocoon that enveloped the 10-winged demon. What happened next shocked Luli. His Ghost King's cut could only break the cocoon of the red and black demonic aura. It couldn't hurt the 10-winged demon at all. Ha ha ha, are you surprised? Yuan walked out in strides. His blood-red eyes flickered and then dimmed. There was a trace of sorrow on his face. He said coldly, "One of our brothers sacrificed his life to build this formation of blood demons. In the formation of blood demons, my defensive abilities can be multiplied. Not even your Lord Ji could do me any harm before he died, let alone you." Lu Li's expressions were solemn. He looked around and released the Slayer's move. A ray of red glare shot out. Yuan didn't even try to dodge. He just released the red and black demonic aura. The demonic aura tumbled and formed a cocoon. Bang! With a muffled sound, the cocoon cracked. Still, Yuan was not hurt. He didn't even step back. He grinned and said coldly, "Come on, Luli, keep attacking. I will not fight back. The longer you stay in the blood demon formation, the weaker your battle prowess will be. I will let you know what despair is." Swish! Luli attacked again. This time, he did not target Yuan. Instead, he aimed at the city wall. He released the Ghost King's cut. Everywhere the sword light reached, the city wall was smashed. What? The ray of sword light flew out from the city wall, but had no effect on the red lines. Blood Fairy's voice rang out. "Master, this is not a formation. It must be some kind of sorcery. I can't do anything about it." Whoosh, Luli flew up. Even though he felt the red lines were dangerous, he had to give it a try. He was getting closer and closer to the red lines. Luli was getting more and more alarmed. He made up his mind and rushed up. However, as soon as he touched those red lines, he immediately felt as if his body was being sliced apart. Those crisscrossing red lines were like the sharpest sabers. If he dared to rush out, his body would definitely be sliced into pieces. Hiss, hiss, Luli was smashed back. His body was covered in blood. He gasped and could not believe what he saw. His strong body could not stand a few red lines. Chapter 1699. He could not defeat the demon, and he could not run away. It had been a long time since Luli encountered such a situation. The worms of the void were ineffective. The Ghost King's cut could not break his defense, and the Slayer's move could not kill him. Compared to his other abilities, Luli's abilities were weak. It had not been long since he became an immortal. He was already a rare talent that only appeared once in 10,000 years. Alas, in a corner of the city, Ling Qingyan sighed. She was trapped as soon as she came in. She did not suffer any inhumane torture. She knew very well that the target of the 10-winged demon was Luli. She was just the bait to lure Luli in. Luli did not disappoint the 10-winged demon. He entered the city. Ling Qingyan was disappointed and touched at the same time. She was disappointed that Luli was so irrational. He came in knowing that there was danger. Now, he was trapped and could die here. Being touched was a woman's way of thinking. For Luli, he could have any woman he wanted. If he beckoned with his finger, beautiful ladies could line up to serve him in bed. Luli risked his life for her and put himself in danger. Women were emotional. Naturally, she was touched. She could not use her divine energy now. The only thing she could use was soul attacks. But they were not strong. They could be used against the 8-winged demon, but not against the 10-winged demon. Am I going to die here? Looking at Luli, who was covered in blood, she did not show any fear. She was just a bit sorry. She looked at Luli's chiseled face and suddenly smiled. It was not bad to have this amazing man to go to the underworld with her. This is strange. Luli flew down. He did not have time to let his mind wander like Ling Qingyan. While treating his wounds, he stared at the secret red lines above his head. At the same time, he began to analyze the situation. The formation of blood demons. This should not be a formation, but some kind of sorcery. Another 10-winged demon sacrificed his life to set up this sorcery. Within this sorcery, the battle prowess of the demon controlling the formation could be increased, but the battle prowess of other people or demons that entered would be suppressed. At the same time, the demonic energy in the formation could corrode the divine energy of warriors. This sorcery is impressive. It was understandable that it could enhance the demon's abilities and corrode his divine energy. The key was these red threads. His fleshly body was so strong, but he was injured the moment he touched them. If Yuan could control these red threads to attack, he would probably be minced in a meat paste in an instant. And he definitely cannot control these red lines. In other words, these red lines cannot be moved. Luli had figured something out. His mind spun quickly, and he calculated. These red lines should be the dead 10-winged demon's blood. The question was the 10-winged demon's blood so powerful? He must have borrowed the power of heaven and earth. The blood of any human or fiend didn't have such formidable might. Otherwise, this 10-winged fiend wouldn't even need to sacrifice himself. Just a bit of his blood would be enough to slaughter all the experts. In other words, this blood demon formation is also a formation, just a special kind of formation. Li's eyes glowed. As long as it was a formation, then he could find the problem and find a way to crack it. Since any spirit array could be set up, it would definitely not be invulnerable. There had to be a way to break it. With a sudden noise, Li came back to his senses. Without any hesitation, he hacked at the left with a silver-edged saber. A blood-red ray of sword light came out, and a dark figure was smashed away. However, Li's left shoulder was scratched by a claw. Hiss. Li gasped. A piece of flesh on his left shoulder was torn open. His bone was exposed, and there was a deep scratch mark on the bone. Ha ha ha. Yuan laughed out loud. Li's move of the Slayer's move did not harm him at all. Yuan was delighted. He said coldly, Li, surrender to us, or I will tear you apart bit by bit. Li turned a deaf ear to him. He used his psychic power to check the entire blood demon formation, trying to find out everything about the formation. He noted down the number of bloodlines and the pattern of the bloodlines. Whoosh! Seeing that Luli didn't reply, Yuang rushed over in rage. While stepping back, Luli controlled the worms of the void to gather around him. If some worms of the void could sneak into Yuang's body when he was attacking, then Luli would have a chance to win. Bang! Luli released the Slayer's move. Yuang's claw landed on Luli's chest. Luli's chest was bleeding, and Yuang was smashed away. What made Luli speechless was that his Slayer's move had cracked Yuang's shield of demons. That being said, the worms of the void were suppressed by the black and red demon energy. At that moment, the worms of the void could not move. Luli felt a sharp pain in his chest, and blood gushed out. But he did not mind. His physical body was strong, and his self-healing ability was amazing. The wounds would heal automatically. However, if he continued to be attacked, his injuries would worsen, and his abilities would weaken. By then, death would be his only outcome. Luli, think about it. Surrender to us demons, and I will ask the Emperor to name you a lord. By then, you will be the real King Lu. Yuang said in a mocking tone. He did not want to recruit Luli. He was just toying with Luli like a cat with a mouse. Luli had killed so many demons and caused the tragic death of Yoda. How could Yuang let Luli go? Luli knew this very well. He would not bring disgrace upon himself. Luli ignored Yuang's words and tried to figure out a way out. He turned to Blood Fairy and ordered, Blood Fairy, this blood demon matrix must be a magic matrix. Go hide underground and try to find a way to break it. Blood Fairy's tentacles reached into Lu Li's body and came out from under his feet. Yuang was coming again. He was so fast that Lu Li's own speed was slowed down. He could not dodge. Lu Li had to use the Slayer's move to knock him back. Hiss! Another wound appeared on Lu Li's chest. Before the old wound was healed, a new one had appeared. Blood tainted Lu Li's body red. Ling Qingyan's eyes dimmed down. She was the leader of the 9 Immortals, but she was not the most powerful. She had many tricks up her sleeves, and she was smart. However, she could not use them now. She could not seduce demons, could she? They were different races. No matter how pretty a fox was, would humans have lust for her? All right, stop attacking. I admit defeat. While Ling Qingyan was still in a trance, Lu Li suddenly opened his mouth. He looked at Yuang and said, I cannot break the blood demon formation, and I am no match for you. I am willing to surrender to you demons and help you unify the divinity. But I do not want to be a slave. I can only be Emperor Yoshing's sole slave, and he must swear that he will not kill me. Ling Qingyan was taken aback. Then she understood. Lu Li was trying to stall for time. The question was, would stalling work? Emperor Yoshing should not be far away. Could he crack the formation in a few days? Chapter 1700. Lu Li wanted to surrender? Yuang was surprised. He was just teasing Lu Li like a cat playing with a mouse. He never thought that Lu Li would surrender. Lu Li had killed so many demons, and Yuang didn't want to let Lu Li go. Now that Lu Li had brought it up, Yuang was hesitating. Yuang's eyes glowed red as he asked, Are you serious? Lu Li shrugged. Nobody wants to die. Living is better than dying. I can help you conquer the city of divinity, and I can help you destroy the formations of the land of Yuyan. With my help, it will be easy for you to unify the divinity. I want your emperor to guarantee my safety. You cannot turn me into a demon slave, and you must try your best not to kill the humans that have surrendered. These humans can help you collect divine materials, mine ores, cultivate spirit herbs, and so on. Yuang was stunned by Lu Li's words. He realized that if Lu Li really surrendered, it would be very useful. For example, Lu Li could sneak to the city of divinity, and Yushing would go with him. They could breach the city and capture most of the powerful warriors in the divinity. Yuang knew about the formation of heaven and earth at the land of Yuyan. Most of the humans were there, including the 8 Immortals. If Yushing could use the formation of heaven and earth, there would be trouble. Yuang didn't care if the demon could demonize Lu Li or not. Yuang could. Yuang couldn't, but you could kill the other demons. As for keeping some humans alive, it was not impossible. Those humans were slaves. It would be easy to kill and control them. Yuang nodded. I cannot make the decision. We must wait for the emperor. He will come in 10 days. If you dare to do anything stupid in 10 days, I will kill you right away. 10 days? Okay. Lu Li nodded. He walked over to Ling Qingyan and sat down to tend to his wounds. Yuang had lied. The demon army had entered the Star Sand Prefecture. If Emperor Yu Xing left the demon army behind, it would take him 3 days at most. Even if he came with the demon army, it would take him 7 or 8 days. It would not take 10 days. Yuang went into the castle and contacted Emperor Yu Xing through special means. Lu Li was thinking. He believed that Emperor Yu Xing would leave the demon army behind and come alone. At most, he would leave the demon army halfway, which meant that he had 3 or 4 days at most. He had to either kill Yuang or break the formation within 3 or 4 days. Otherwise, if Great Emperor Yoshing came, he would only have 2 endings. One was to become Great Emperor Yoshing's slave, 2 was to die with Ling Qingyan. Either way, it wasn't a good ending. The god world could be destroyed, and countless people would die. Some people would become slaves. Hoo-hoo! Lu Li exhaled and forced himself to calm down. He turned around and looked at Ling Qingyan next to him. Looking at her gloomy face, Lu Li smiled and said, I am regretting that I didn't let you sleep with me last time. PFFF. Ling Qingyan laughed speechlessly. How could Lu Li still think about this at a time like this? But Lu Li's words made Ling Qingyan feel relieved. The haze in his heart these days was gone. She leaned on Lu Li's shoulder and said. Her lips moved as she said, As long as we can get out of here alive, I am willing to be your lover for the rest of my life and sleep with you every night. Lover? Lu Li was speechless, but he remembered that Ling Qingyan was Prince of Yan. She cannot be his woman openly. Otherwise, how could she command the warriors? He touched Ling Qingyan's pretty face and looked at her affectionately. He said with a straight face, I can't do it every night. My body will be drained. I can only do it once every 2 nights. PFFF. Ling Qingyan rolled her eyes at Lu Li. She was naturally charming. She thought about it and said, Lu Li, I was just trying to seduce you to protect the interests of Prince of Yan. Now, I realize that I really like you. If I can win your favor, I can die without regrets. Ha ha ha. Lu Li did not know if Ling Qingyan's confession was true or not, but he was in a better mood. He patted Ling Qingyan's shoulder and gave her a confident look. Then he sat down with his legs crossed and began to tend to his wounds. His treatment was not the priority. The most important thing was to find a way out. Blood Fairy was investigating underground, but she did not get any information. Lu Li decided that he had to rely on himself. Blood Fairy was very knowledgeable about formations. That being said, she was not a human being. She did not have a human's way of thinking. Many times, she would end up in a dead end. Lu Li closed his eyes. In his mind, he saw a diagram that was formed by countless red lines. The red lines formed a net, a dragnet, a formation of blood demons. Lu Li had a clear look. Apart from the red lines, there were no formation stones or foundations. The formation of blood demons was built on the red lines. Using strong blood to build the formation patterns in heaven and earth? Using the force in heaven and earth to trap enemies? Gradually, an idea came to Lu Li's mind. This formation must borrow the force in heaven and earth. Otherwise, it cannot be so powerful. To borrow the force in heaven and earth, a formation must be built. To build a formation, there must be formation patterns, formation stones, foundations, formation eyes, and so on. However, this formation of blood demons did not have such things as foundation, stones, and formation eyes. There were only some bloodlines that could be regarded as formation patterns. That being said, the bloodlines were not regular patterns. They were formed by the blood of a 10-winged demon who sacrificed himself for the formation. His strong body and strength must have been integrated into the bloodlines. Blood Fairy, can't you go into the bloodlines and change the formation patterns? Lu Li asked Blood Fairy after a moment of thought. Soon, Blood Fairy answered, No, the bloodlines are strange. If my tentacles get close, they will be corroded. I don't have the courage to get close to the bloodlines. This is troublesome. To break a formation, one must either destroy the foundation, destroy the formation eyes, or change the formation patterns. There were no foundation or formation eyes. Neither Blood Fairy nor Luli dared to touch the formation patterns. How could the formation be cracked? What? A moment later, Luli realized something was wrong with his divine energy. Part of it was out of his control and wandering around. The nature of the divine energy had changed. It was as if a clear river had suddenly become turbid. Luli was surrounded by the energy of the demon as well. When he opened his eyes, his pupils were blood red. In the distance, in the castle, Yuang had been checking Luli. He grinned coldly when he noticed a change in Luli's body. Divine energy was the source of a warrior's strength. Without divine energy, no killing move or fundamental principle could be released. Take Ling Qingyan as an example. He could only use soul attacks. He could not even fly. Yuang was not afraid whether Luli was going to surrender or to stall for time. The longer the fight dragged on, the weaker Luli would be. He would be demonized. Maybe. Chapter 17:01. A day had passed. Still, Luli found nothing. He and Blood Fairy had been searching for a day. Apart from the hundreds of thousands of blood strands, they found nothing related to the formation. In other words, this formation of blood demons did not have foundation or formation eyes, only patterns. With the hundreds of thousands of bloodlines, a strange formation was formed. It could trap enemies in heaven and earth, seal up the space, and enhance the power of the bloodlines. The people trapped inside were unable to escape, and they did not dare to touch the bloodlines. How could they crack the formation when they could not even touch the bloodlines? What was more, these bloodlines were virtual. Regular attacks could go through them without inflicting any damage. This formation of blood demons was the most horrifying and vicious formation in the realm of demons. If Luli could crack it, then this formation would not be as prestigious as it was now. After a day, Luli didn't go back to investigate. It was pointless to keep on going. He could not count on Blood Fairy anymore. He had to rely on himself. The crisscrossing bloodlines came to his mind. His mind was clear. To crack this formation, he had to study the bloodlines thoroughly. He had to find out why the bloodlines could be so powerful. Why could the bloodlines have so many strange abilities when they were intertwined? Blood Fairy, that's enough. Why don't you study the spell formation and see what kind of spell formation they contain? We'll study it together and verify it. Luli sent a message to Blood Fairy. Blood Fairy's tentacle reached into Luli's body through the gaps of the bloodlines. Luli gave Blood Fairy the diagram of the bloodlines. The two of them began to study. There are interspatial formations, amplification formations, deceleration formations, energy gathering formations. Soon, Luli and Blood Fairy were able to see the rudimentary form of some formations. Both Luli and Blood Fairy were masters of formations. Even though some of the formations in the bloodlines were obscure, Luli and Blood Fairy could see through them easily. After several hours of study, both Luli and Blood Fairy were surprised. The bloodlines were filled with rudimentary forms of formations. The crisscrossing bloodlines looked like a ball of hemp rope. However, there were many formations hidden in them. This is strange, Luli frowned. There are so many formations inside. Wouldn't the formation of blood demons charge at them? Every spirit design had its own function. Their attributes were different, and their functions were different. It was very easy to break through the formation. For example, if Luli wanted to forge a relic, he could build a formation of fire and a formation of ice. The two formations would clash. At that time, all the formations would be destroyed, and the formation diagrams inside would become chaotic, and the divine artifacts would become useless. Luli had read many books on formations, and Blood Fairy had read more. She had passed on all her knowledge to Luli. According to various experiences, it was impossible for this bloodline diagram to exist. There were many logical errors. How can these spirit designs fuse so perfectly? Luli could not figure it out, and neither could Blood Fairy. She was inflexible and did not know how to be flexible. Such a strange bloodline diagram caused it to be very confused. Fusion? How could two objects of different attributes fuse together? How could water and fire coexist? Light and darkness can exist at the same time. Life and destruction can coexist. Luli even stopped studying the bloodlines diagram. If he could not figure this out, then it would be pointless for him to learn more. Right. An hour later, Luli was taken aback. He remembered something. This formation of blood demons was built at the expense of a 10-winged demon. If this was just a regular formation, why would a 10-winged demon be sacrificed? The 10-winged demon was the most powerful being in the world of demons. It would not be sacrificed easily. To build a formation, the 10-winged demon had to pay with blood. But the demon had to pay with his life. The 10-winged demon must have played a crucial role in the construction of the formation. Medium. Luli suddenly saw the light. The 10-winged demon was the medium. The demon's strength and physical body were the medium. The medium could stabilize the formation, allow formations of different attributes to be placed, and suppress the formation from breaking through. It was like water and fire. Water was put in a pot, and the fire was outside the pot. In the end, a bigger pot was used to put the water and fire in. The sacrifice of the 10-winged demon was the pot that isolated the various formations and connected all the other formations through the medium. With so many arrays working together, the blood demon array was able to become such a powerful and strange existence. Impressive. This idea was not found in the divinity. Luli had read many books on formations, but none of them mentioned this method. Of course, there might be powerful formations in history that had tried it, but they could not find such a powerful medium. The 10-winged demon's blood, energy, and life were the medium. Only in this way could the formations be suppressed and all the formations could be connected perfectly. The formation itself was formed by the demon's blood, which made it more controllable. Would there be a powerful human warrior who dared to use his own blood, energy, and physical body to build a formation? Nobody would have the courage to do so. Blood Fairy, I have thought it through. Luli told Blood Fairy all his deductions and asked her to continue based on his calculations to find a way to crack the formation. However, he did not intend to continue deducing. He had gained some inspiration from this great array, and he wanted to use this idea to try out some things. He wanted to combine the Slayer's move with the Slayer's move. He had this idea before, and he had put into action. He had been studying it for a long time. But these were two completely different killer move intents. He had spent a lot of time in the past without any results. Comprehending this array formation today gave him a hint of inspiration. In the past, he had always thought of fusing the true meanings of two killer moves together. It would be like tying two ropes of different lengths and different materials together. Since the lengths and materials were different, how could the two ropes be tied together perfectly? Now, Luli had a different idea. The pot idea. Could he place the two true meanings in two earthen jars? Could he let them coexist without interfering with each other? Without conflict? Then he could release them together to trigger the resonance of the two moves, which would increase the strength of the attacks. Or he could turn the Slayer's move into a pot and put the Slayer's move in a smaller pot. The bigger pot would contain the smaller pot. He could throw them out together. He could turn the Slayer's move into a pot and wrap it in the Slayer's move. In the past, Luli was thinking of combining them. Now, he was thinking of coexistence. As long as he could increase his abilities, any form did not matter. This is the right idea. The more Luli thought about it, the more plausible he felt. The Slayer's move could kill an average 8-winged demon, while the Slayer's move could hurt a 10-winged demon. Currently, the Slayer's move was stronger. When the two were released together, there was a chance that the Slayer's move could kill Yu Wang or even Emperor Yu Xing, let alone 1 + 1 = 3. Chapter 17:02. The ropes must be perfectly tangled together in order to be effective. Otherwise, the ropes might scatter and hurt the user. The jars were different. The bigger jars contained the smaller ones, which would be easier? At the very least, throwing them out together would not hurt the user. It would be easier to study as well. Luli no longer had the time to study the formation of blood demons. He felt the formation was complicated. To crack it in a short time would be difficult. At least, there was one thing. Neither he nor Blood Fairy could touch the red ropes. If so, to crack it would be difficult. He was running out of time. Time was of the essence. He entered the enigmatic state at once. He forgot everything else and focused on studying. He had been studying for a long time, trying to integrate the two moves. He had studied the two moves thoroughly. Now that he had a direction, he could learn them faster. However, he was not sure if he could make it in time or if he could achieve the power he imagined. Ling Qingyan did not cultivate. She had been paying attention to the surroundings. She noticed that Luli had become very peaceful. She exclaimed to herself, Luli was indeed Luli. In such a dangerous situation, he could cultivate in peace. Extraordinary people were extraordinary. She had a glimmer of hope. Luli had been creating miracles. He had been going through the heavens tribulation for a long time. Everyone thought that he would die for sure. Unexpectedly, he came back. His defense was improved to a horrifying level. Maybe, this time, Luli could turn danger into safety. Some people were destined to have a meteoric rise, just like the Slayer. He fought his way from a mortal world to the divinity with only one saber. He overwhelmed the space-time office. In the end, the space-time office had to resort to their trump card to kill the Slayer. It was the same for Luli. He fought his way from the mortal world to the divinity, fought against the 4 legendary forces, and created havoc at the land of Yuyan. He rose at an incredible speed and stood at the peak of the divinity. Luli had achieved more than the Slayer. Ling Qingyan believed that Lu Li's final destination would not be the divinity. A man like him should ascend to the 9th heaven. Ling Qingyan sat there as if nothing had happened. As a matter of fact, she had been observing Yuan. Luli was cultivating. If Yuan were to sneak up on him, Luli could be killed instantly. At this critical moment, Ling Qingyan was ready to sacrifice herself to protect Lu Li, who was the hope of the divinity. The evil demon army had indeed entered the Star Sand Prefecture, and Emperor Yoshing had also received the news. His original plan was to leave the army of demons and go to the Star Sand City as soon as possible. After all, once he had Lu Li under his control, the divinity would be within his reach. However, he couldn't leave right now because a lot of people from the God World had come, and all of them were God World paragons. There were dozens of them, including Zhuqiu Lu and Luo Guan. This group of supremes from the deity world had taken the space-time office's teleportation array and arrived as soon as they could. The reason was because Pan Yuqin had sent them a message. Pan Yuqin received Lu Li's message and learned that he had not come out from the Star Sand City after half a day. There was a blood-red net outside the city. Pan Yuqin sent a message to all the supreme warriors in the divinity at once. Pan Yuqin did not explain the situation. She only asked all the supremes of the immortal world to move out and delay the army of devils and great Emperor Yoshing. If they could not stall him, Luli would die for sure, and so would the divinity. Pan Yuqin controlled all the scouts. Nobody doubted her words. She was also Lu Li's spokesperson. Lu Li was the hope of the divinity. If he died, who would Luo Guan, Zhuqiu Lu, and the others rely on to stop the 10-winged demon? Zhuqiu Lu and the others held grudges against Lu Li, but the supreme warriors in the divinity would not sit idly by when it came to such a serious matter. To help Lu Li was to help them and the entire divinity. Soon, dozens of divinity supreme warriors were sent out. Pan Yuqin didn't ask them to fight great Emperor Yoshing. She only asked them to stall him for a few days, which was not so stressful for them. The dozens of divinity supreme warriors were divided into several groups and took turns to attack the army of demons. If great Emperor Yoshing went after one army, the others would attack the army of demons at once. At the same time, other groups would come to their aid. When so many supreme warriors in the divinity worked together, the damage could be devastating, especially when Zhuqiu Lu and Luo Guan were leading the teams. Great Emperor Yoshing had no choice but to stay in the center and not go after any of the Divinity Supreme warriors. He knew very well that Zhuqiu Lu and the others were trying to stall him, but he didn't care. What could he do by stalling for a few days? Nobody could break the formation of blood demons. Even if Great Emperor Yoshing went in person, if Great Emperor Yoshing wanted to control the formation of blood demons to fight against him, Great Emperor Yoshing would not be a match for Great Emperor Yoshing. Great Emperor Yoshing's message made it clear that Lu Li was like an ant that Great Emperor Yoshing could crush at any time. The longer it dragged on, the more demonized Lu Li would be. His divine energy would be corroded. By the time Great Emperor Yoshing arrived, Lu Li might have become a demon slave. What was wrong with stalling? Great Emperor Yoshing sent out all the 8-winged demons to patrol outside. If there were any sneak attacks, the demons would be stalled. Great Emperor Yoshing would bluff and go after them. Those human warriors would run away as soon as they saw him coming. In this way, the army of demons was slowed down, but the casualties were reduced. Zhuqiu Lu and the others didn't act recklessly. Pan Yuqin had said that they could stall the army of demons. They had accomplished their mission. As for whether Lu Li was dead or alive, there was nothing they could do. The army of demons was slowed down because there were many supreme warriors blocking their way. By the time Great Emperor Yoshing drove away the Divinity Supreme warriors, there would be more chasing after them. Great Emperor Yoshing was annoyed. If Yoda were still alive and Yuan were still here, this wouldn't have happened. Great Emperor Yoshing could have a 10-winged demon stay, and he could lead a group of 8-winged demons. Half of Zhuqiu Lu and the others would have to stay here. It would take Great Emperor Yoshing 2 or 3 days to fly there alone at full speed. But it had been 10 days, and they still hadn't arrived at the Star Sand City. But they were close. In a day at most, the army would arrive at the Star Sand City. In 10 days, hundreds of thousands of the demon army were killed. 3 Divinity Supreme warriors of the human race were killed as well. They were all killed by Great Emperor Yoshing. If it weren't for the fact that they cooperated well and had Divinity Supreme warriors to support them at any time, more Divinity Supreme warriors would have died. Alas, on a small hill, a woman with a graceful figure stood quietly. Looking at the densely packed demons in the distant sky, she sighed deeply. Behind her stood a dozen top-level scouts. Jian Shilai was standing right behind her. After the army of demons had gone far away, Jian Shilai reported, "My lady, we have just sent a few special scouts into the Star Sand City. They verified some information before they died. Master Lu Li and Prince Yan are still alive, but the situation is not so good." Chapter 17:03. Why is he not here yet? Is there something wrong? In the mansion of the Star Sand City, Yu Wang's eyebrows were knitted together. He was worried. Theoretically speaking, Emperor Yoshing would arrive in a few days at most. Even if he came with an army, he would be here by now. Lu Li being here was the most important thing. Emperor Yoshing could not be distracted by other matters. The only explanation was that something had gone wrong with the demon army, and Emperor Yoshing could not come over. Even if he could not, he should have sent some demon scouts over to deliver a message. Now, there was no message. Did it mean the scouts cannot come? Did the humans send out many powerful warriors to stop the scouts? Is it that Lord Xin Yuan of the human race? Yuan could not think of any other explanation apart from this. As far as he was concerned, the other powerful human warriors would not attack the demon army when Lu Li was trapped here unless there was another powerful human warrior. Therefore, Yuan had been struggling with one thing. Should he kill Lu Li at once? Leaving Lu Li alive would be a source of trouble for him. Besides, Lu Li had been too quiet these days. He never moved or opened his eyes. His breaths were long and slow. Clearly, he was in closed-door cultivation. Yuan didn't think Lu Li could change anything after a few days of closed-door cultivation. But there was always a chance. After much deliberation, Yuan decided to leave the castle and walk toward Lu Li. As soon as Yuan moved, Ling Qingyan immediately realized that the demonic aura in her body was extremely dense. If it wasn't for the top-tier pills from the Hall of Life and Death, her soul might not be corrupted, but at least her body would be. A glint of coldness rose in her eyes as she stared at Yu Wang, who was approaching. She was ready to risk her life at any time. Luli must be at a critical moment in closed-door cultivation because he had shut off his senses. He could not sense anything in the outside world. When a person was in danger and he shut off his senses, he might not even know how he died. How could Luli do this if he was not at a critical moment? Luli, Yu Wang stood thousands of feet in front of Luli. He stared at Luli and said, "Emperor Yoshing is occupied and cannot come. He asked me to represent him. He said he can agree to all your conditions. From now on, you could be my sole slave. I can swear an over-God blood oath that I won't kill you or harm you." Yu Wang didn't want to wait any longer. He had to capture Luli first. Nothing could go wrong. Emperor Yoshing wouldn't say anything if Luli became his sole slave. In the worst-case scenario, Luli could become Emperor Yoshing's sole slave and control Luli first. Luli didn't move. He had shut off his six senses and could not sense the situation outside at all. So how could he hear Yu Wang's words? Seeing the ferocious look in Yu Wang's eyes, Ling Qingyan hurriedly said, "Lord Demon, Luli is still healing and detoxifying. Can you wait a bit longer? When he wakes up, he will give you the seal of soul." Healing and detoxifying? Yu Wang was not an idiot. Otherwise, he would not have become a 10-winged demon. He sneered and said, "I will only give him the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. If he does not hand over his soul seal, I can only kill him." One joss stick's time? Ling Qingyan's expressions didn't change, but she was getting anxious. The time it took for an incense stick to burn was too short. If only they could stall for a day or two. She closed her eyes after some thoughts. After a while, she opened her eyes and said, "I have sent a message to him. He said he needs a day." Of course, Ling Qingyan didn't send a message to Luli. Even if she did, Luli wouldn't be able to hear it. She was just buying time for Luli. After a pause, Yu Wang waved his hand in a domineering manner and said, "No, 6 hours at most. There is no room for negotiation. If you don't hand over your soul seal in 6 hours, I will send you to the underworld." Ling Qingyan sighed to herself. She pretended to close her eyes to listen to Luli's message. After a while, she opened her eyes and said, "Okay, in 6 hours, he will hand over his soul seal." Yu Wang didn't go back to the castle. He stood there and waited quietly. The red glow in his eyes flickered, and the dark red glow on his claws was glowing as well. He was ready to take action at any time. Time moved on. Ling Qingyan pretended to be calm, but she was getting more and more anxious. Who could tell what was going on with Luli? What could he do in 6 hours? What was more, Luli had only been cultivating for a couple of days. For powerful warriors like her, cultivating for years might be fruitless. She kept on waiting. When the time was almost up, she would have to force Luli to wake him up. If Luli said he wanted to fight, then she would fight with her life. She could go to the underworld with Luli. When the time was almost up, Ling Qingyan pushed Luli gently. Luli's soul trembled, but he didn't open his eyes. Instead, he used psychic power to check. He knew what was going on at once. He had been in closed-door cultivation and had lost track of time. He understood at once. Ling Qingyan must have pushed him because Yu Wang was about to take action. Luli felt it was a pity. If he could have another 3 to 5 days, everything would be perfect. "Luli, it has been 10 days, and you crossing is still not here. Yu Wang can't wait any longer. He wants you to become his sole slave, or else he will kill you. I can only buy as much time as I can." Ling Qingyan's lips moved as she sent a message to Luli. She made it short. Luli understood what was going on. He opened his eyes. There was a faint red glow in his eyes. He had taken some exorcism pellets from the Hall of Life and Death. He could fight off the demonic energy. That being said, it was not a big deal. Luli's soul would not be corrupted. The demonic energy in his body could be dissolved in the trials of wind and fire. Luli turned to Yu Wang. He nodded and said, "Lord Yu Wang, please wait a moment." I will give you the seal of my soul. But first, you must take an almighty oath that you will protect my life and freedom. You must try your best to protect as many humans as possible. That is not a problem. Yuan was delighted. With Lu Li as his sole slave, not only could he use Lu Li to attack the divinity, but he could also use Lu Li to fight against Emperor Yusheng. Maybe he could replace Lu Li. Yes, replace him. At first, Yuan did not have this idea. Now that he was going to take Lu Li as his sole slave, he was inspired. Lu Li was powerful. If he could help them unify the divinity and then work with Yuan to kill Emperor Yusheng, then Yuan would become the new emperor of the demon realm, ruling both the divinity and the demon realm. On this thought, the glow in Yuan's eyes grew brighter. He swore an almighty oath at once, promising that he would not harm Lu Li and that he would try his best to protect the human race. Lu Li was his sole slave, his slave. It did not matter if Lu Li was killed or not. As for the human race, he would try his best to protect them. Even if he could not, it was not a violation of the oath. Swish, while Yuan was solemnly making the oath, Lu Li suddenly unsheathed his saber. A ray of sword light whooshed over. The ray of sword light made a turn in the air. The pressure in heaven and earth and the speed were sped up. Then, the ray of sword light made another turn, increasing the pressure and the speed. Ling Qingyan stared at the ray of sword light in the air, confused. Why didn't Lu Li use his most powerful move, the Slayer's move, but the Ghost King cut? Wait. Chapter 1704. Ghost King's cut was a strange move. Ghost King had been dead for years. Even so, when Lu Li used it, he was still recognized. Usually, moves were focused on one smooth movement, being as fast as lightning and moving in a straight line. There was no move like Ghost King's cut that could make 2 turns in midair, and after each turn, the power and pressure would grow stronger. Anyone who saw this strange attack would remember it with a single glance. Ghost King's cut was recorded in all the major families. It was clearly stated that Ghost King's cut could only make 2 turns. After Lu Li released Ghost King's cut, he had only made 2 turns. Now, Ghost King's cut had made 3 turns. This had turned Ling Qingyan's knowledge upside down. She was Prince of Yin, and she knew Ghost King's moves well. How could she not be shocked to see such a strange scene? What shocked Ling Qingyan even more was that after the Ghost King's cut made 3 turns, its power had increased by several times. This time, the increase was too obvious. Ling Qingyan felt the pressure in heaven and earth had immobilized her. Yuan's eyes were wide open as well. His eyes were filled with terror. Ling Qingyan was far away from Lu Li, so she could not see it clearly. But the Ghost King's cut had locked onto him, and he had to bear all the pressure. He sensed a fatal danger in his soul. Out of instinct, he tried to gather the black and red energy of the demon to build a shield. However, he could not move at the moment. At this critical moment, the origin of the demon in him was disturbed. He could only watch as the ray of sword light was coming at his head. No! Yuan screamed with all his strength and fear. Previously, he thought Lu Li couldn't kill him even if he was standing there when he used Ghost King's cut and the Slayer's move. But this time, he felt he could not stand it. This move was too powerful. At this moment of life and death, Yuan yelled, "Lu Li, if you kill me, there will be no one to control the blood demon formation. It will become a formation of death. Nobody from the outside can come in. You will be trapped to death in there. Don't kill me, and I will let you out." Bang! What answered him was the demon King Chop's saber light landing heavily on his body. Moreover, after the saber light twisted for the 3rd time, the saber light turned blood red. The world before his eyes was filled with a world of blood. Boom! Yuan's body was blown away by the explosion. The black scales on his head and chest were all blasted apart. His skin and flesh were torn apart, and many of his skull and chest bones were also broken. Puffed! Yuan coughed up a mouthful of blood in midair. His body was sent flying backward, smashing many castles into pieces. His aura had also become extremely chaotic, and it was obvious that he had been severely injured. All right, Ling Qingyan suddenly stood up. She could not use divine energy anymore, but she could move fast with her physical strength. Luli also dashed over like a bolt of lightning, holding his frosty edge saber high. I'll take your life while you're down. Both of them were experts, so they naturally wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. As soon as Yuang rushed out of the ruins, two pink lights flashed in Ling Qingyin's eyes and disappeared into Yuang's eyes. Yuang had just been heavily injured, especially in the head. His mind was in a daze, and he was immediately hit. Unfortunately, Ling Qingyin's soul attack was not strong enough, and Yuang woke up in an instant. Even though it was only for the time for one breath, it was enough. Lu Li's ghost slash arrived. It turned around in midair once, twice, thrice. It seemed that the ray of sword light was slow in midair, but it was just an illusion. The ray of sword light came down in an instant. Yuang didn't even have time to react before he was smashed away. Crack. This time, Yuang was even more miserable. His head was completely split open, and so was his chest. His nose and mouth were all neatly cut open, and blood was gushing out from his head and chest. The castle on the other side was crushed into ruins. Powerful. Seeing that Yuang was still alive, Lu Li and Ling Qinyin looked at each other. Both of them were shocked. Demons specialized in body cultivation, and the body of the ten-winged demon had reached a horrifying state. But Yuang was not far from death. His head was split open, and his soul must have been injured as well. His body was buried in the ruins of the castle. He tried to get up, but failed after 2 attempts. Undue delay breeds trouble. Luli flew over quickly. This time, he just released the Slayer's move and hacked at Yuang's head. After 3 moves, Yuang's head was crushed, and he could not move anymore. The ten-winged demon, Yuang, was dead. Luli was standing on top of a castle, and Ling Qinyin was standing on top of another castle not far away. Neither of them moved. Staring at Yuang's body and the blood that was still trickling down, both of them were in a trance. Dead? The ten-winged demon is dead? Luli killed him? Are we saved? Ling Qinyin murmured. She looked over to Luli. For a moment, she was lost in thought when she saw his chiseled face. This man had created another miracle. He had only been in closed-door cultivation for a couple of days, and his abilities had soared. He killed a ten-winged demon in a few moves. Before, she was just trying to seduce Lu Li to give Prince of Yin more protection. She was touched that Lu Li came to the Star Sand City alone, and she began to like him. Now, she had become a little girl. She looked at Lu Li with awe and admiration. Lu Li was not a strong man, but in her eyes, he had become an insurmountable mountain. If that was the case, then why not ride on the mountain? The power has been improved by at least 2 times. I need to study for a while longer. When the synchronization is perfect, the power can be further improved. Half of my divine energy has been corroded. When my divine energy reaches the peak, and I release it in the perfect state, the power can be increased by at least 3 times. Luli was thinking about the Slayer's move and the Slayer's move. That was right. Luli had integrated the Slayer's move and the Slayer's move. The third transformation of the Slayer's move was because he had integrated the Slayer's move. His idea of the earthen pot was correct. When he was woken up, he had already integrated the move. He was just improving it step by step. He wanted to achieve a perfect synchronization. Okay, Luli was relieved after he killed Yuang. The integration of the Slayer's move and the Slayer's move had boosted his confidence. Not only was his defensive ability as strong as the ten-winged demon, but his offensive ability as well. He was almost as strong as Yixing. As for the powerful warriors in the divinity, Luli was not afraid of any of them. Under the Slayer's move, any supreme warrior in the divinity would die. Finally, I have set foot on the peak of the divinity. At this moment, Luli felt he was at the peak of the divinity. Finally, nobody in the divinity could dictate his own fate. He didn't have to worry about being hunted down or armies of demons. If he could kill Yuang, then killing Yixing would not be difficult. Buzzing, all of a sudden, the bloodlines in the air and on the ground moved. Yuang's blood was sucked away. Following that, even more bloodlines appeared in the air and on the ground. The entire blood demon formation became even denser, and it felt even more terrifying. Both Lu Li and Ling Qingyan were alarmed. They looked at each other and said at the same time, "Dead formation." Previously, Yuang had said that if he died, no one would be able to control the formation. The blood demon formation would also become a dead formation. No one would be able to get out or enter. Chapter 1705. Lu Li checked carefully and found that the formation had changed. After absorbing Yu Wang's blood essence, the formation had become more horrifying. It was impossible to crack it. Seeing that Ling Qingyan was upset, Lu Li said with a smile, "Prince of Yin, we are lucky that we are still alive. Don't let it go. Also, I have some knowledge about formations. Give me some time, and I might be able to crack it." Somehow, Ling Qingyan felt at ease seeing Lu Li's confidence. She kicked on the ground and landed on the ground. She put her arms around Lu Li's arm and leaned on him. She looked up at Lu Li and said, "I am not afraid. I am not afraid to go to the underworld when I am with you." Prince of Yin, a famous powerful warrior of the Yuyan land, had become a little girl. Also, she was quite successful at being a little girl. Lu Li felt a sense of male chauvinism. He wanted to protect this girl and protect her from any harm. They were trapped in a dangerous place, and they had been through life and death together. They didn't know if they could get out. Naturally, it became close. It was as if they were in a strange world surrounded by monsters, and they suddenly met a person. Lu Li didn't think too much. He hugged Ling Qingyan in his arms and asked, "How much longer can you stand it? Can you stand it when the demonic energy invades your soul?" "I don't know." Ling Qingyan shook her head and said, "There's a lot of demonic energy in me. If it weren't for the pellets from the Hall of Purgatory, I would have black scales on my body. How ugly would it be if I had scales? I would rather die." Lu Li was speechless. Women were strange creatures. They cared more about their beauty than their own life and death. He smiled, caressed Ling Qingyan's face, and said, "Don't be silly. You know about the heavens tribulation. As long as you are in the tribulation of wind and fire, the demonic energy can be burned away. Before I went through the heavens tribulation, there was a lot of demonic energy in me, and it was all burned away. Okay, I need to stabilize myself first. I will figure out a way to crack the formation later. You have to hold on for a year. I will have a chance to crack it in a year." Lu Li patted Ling Qingyan's shoulder and flew down with her. After some thought, he brought her into a castle and began to set up a formation inside the castle. He set up a magic array. Although it couldn't completely stop the demonic aura from seeping in, it could slow down the speed of the demonic aura's infiltration. In this way, Ling Qingyan would be demonized for a longer time. Ling Qingyan didn't care. Even if his body was demonized, his soul should be able to withstand it after what happened last time. Much better. Ling Qingyan stretched his body and walked around. It's so comfortable. The air outside is suffocating. I feel like I've been reborn. Ling Qingyan's figure was the most perfect Lu Li had ever seen. As soon as she stretched, Lu Li's eyes were filled with passion. Originally, under the influence of the demonic aura, there would be more negative emotions and desires. Sensing Lu Li's passionate stare, Ling Qingyan pretended that she didn't notice. Instead, she continued to stretch her body. Her breasts became more and more erect. After Lu Li had his fill, she suddenly turned around and said with a smile, "How about I take off my clothes and let you see all you want?" "Okay," Lu Li answered out of instinct. Ling Qingyan snorted and rolled her eyes. She went into a room without looking back. At the door, she turned her head and said, "I'm going to take a shower. Don't you peek. Otherwise, I will not let you off easily." Such an obvious hint made Lu Li's heart twitch. Ling Qingyan didn't close the door. Lu Li sat in the hall for a while. Suddenly, he heard the sound of water and some mist coming out. Lu Li had been depressed these days. He had been on the brink of death. The demonic aura was still affecting him. He could no longer suppress his restlessness. He walked towards the room in strides. The castle used to belong to a wealthy family. The decorations in the room were still intact. There was a big bath in the room. The water must have been put out by Ling Qingyan, and she heated it up. Next to the bath was a thin veil. Pink rose petals were floating on the water. Ling Qingyin sat in the bath. Half of her body was submerged in the water. Only her delicate shoulders were exposed. Her hair was tied up, revealing her white and slender neck. Seeing Lu Li walking over, Ling Qingyin covered her chest with her hands and said angrily, "You are a jerk. How dare you peep at me when I am bathing? Aren't you afraid that your reputation will be ruined when you are in the divinity?" Ha, ha, ha. Lu Li walked over with a laugh. He stood outside the veil and enjoyed the view in the bath without the slightest scruple. His eyes were filled with arrogance. He said with a grin, "When did I peep? I'm looking at it fair and square. Will it be spread to the divinity? I used to be a thief, a demon, a god of killing. What's wrong with a pervert? What's more, if I can get out, who in the divinity will speak ill of me?" "You are so overbearing." Ling Qingyin pretended to be scared and said, "What do you want? You pervert. Stop right there or I'll scream." "Scream as loud as you can. Scream as loud as you can." Lu Li played along and pretended to be a pervert. He lifted the veil and took off his clothes. With a lascivious grin, he said, "There is no one in this city and the space is sealed. Your voice cannot go out. Even if you use the lion's roar, nobody will listen to you. Scream. The more you scream, the more excited I will be." Ha ha ha. Ling Qingyin did not scream. Instead, she was amused by Lu Li's performance. She was trembling and the water was rippling. Whoosh! Soon, Lu Li took off his clothes and jumped into the bath like a fish. He even dived into the water and went under the petals. Ling Qingyin yelled in surprise. She could see everything in the water. She was just about to come out when she felt her legs were grabbed by a pair of strong hands. "Big pervert! Save me! Save me! Save me! Save me!" Ling Qingyin's cheeks were as red as a ripe apple. She shouted shyly. However, as time went by, her tone changed. Her voice became seductive and flirtatious. Soon, the water in the bath began to tumble. It was as if a flood dragon, no, 2 flood dragons, had appeared in a calm river. The 2 flood dragons were tumbling in the bath, and the sound of water was shocking. 2 hours later, everything was over. Ling Qingyin lay on the edge of the bath like a dead fish. Her eyes were half closed. Lu Li hugged her from behind, feeling pity in his eyes. At the same time, he was confused, but he did not ask. Chapter 1706. Lu Li nodded honestly. To him, this lady was a vicious beauty with frivolous words and actions. She must have had affairs with many men. He didn't know that today was her first time. "Do you want to hear a story?" Ling Qingyin's eyes narrowed, and a trace of reminiscence appeared on her face. Because they had just had sex, her face was red. At this moment, she looked particularly lovable. She continued after a pause. "Once upon a time, there was a lady. She was born in a small family at the Yuyan land. She was beautiful, the most beautiful young lady among the dozens of forces nearby. She had a childhood sweetheart who was the young master of another family in the same faction. The 2 families even had a grand wedding. But on the night of the wedding, disaster struck. A young master from a wealthy family passed by the force and fell in love with the beautiful lady. Lu Li's heart was weighed down. This kind of thing was common in the divinity and the Yuyan land. Ling Qingyin knew what happened next. The beautiful lady must be unfortunate, and the small force would suffer as well. As Lu Li had expected, Ling Qingyin's eyes were filled with hatred. She said coldly, that young master was a beast. He was drunk and wanted to marry the bride and groom on behalf of his wife. That young lady refused. He raped her right in front of the groom and killed the young master in cold blood. Then, he left with the young lady. Lu Li asked with curiosity, "That young lady didn't commit suicide?" "Yes." Ling Qingyin nodded. "Because the young master's family was too powerful. He said that if the young lady dared to commit suicide, then her entire family would die. Also, the young lady wanted to avenge her husband, so she had been holding back. But her holding back created a lifetime of suffering for her." Ling Qingyin paused for a moment. She continued with pain in her eyes. When the young lady was taken back, she was abused by the young master day and night. Her life was worse than death. The young master liked to drink. When he was drunk, he would do whatever he wanted and torture women. The young lady endured in silence. She cultivated secretly, trying to find a chance to kill the young master and avenge her husband. Unfortunately, she was not talented. She endured for 10 years and was abused for 10 years before she became a mighty warrior in the divinity. When she finally had the ability to think of a way to take revenge, that young master died in an accident, and she actually had a child in her belly. At this point in the story, Luli understood a lot more. The beautiful lady was Ling Qingyin's mother, and the young master was the young master of the Yin Palace. How powerful was the king of Yan's residence? Would a small force in the land of Yuyin dare to provoke them? That's right, that is my mother. Ling Qingyin smiled bitterly. Do you think the story ends here? No, the story has only just begun, and so has the suffering that my mother had to endure. Luli was taken aback. He felt sorry for her. A pretty lady was going through so much, and this was just the beginning? Ling Qingyin said with hatred in his eyes, "My father has 2 brothers. They are talented, but their temperament is similar to my father's. They have been coveting my mother's beauty for a long time. After my father died, they immediately set their sights on my mother. Mother wanted to die, but because I was in her belly, she couldn't bear to." Luli saw the tears in Ling Qingyin's eyes. He wiped them away for her and changed the subject. "Your mother must be very beautiful." "Yes." Ling Qingyin was distracted. Her eyes were sparkling, and she said, "My mother is even more beautiful than me. She is a spiritual body, and she was born with a unique charm. Even if she was dressed as a beggar, she would still be the most beautiful beggar, and she would attract many men's attention. She was known as the most beautiful woman in the land of Yuyin, second to none." Luli was surprised. He just said it casually. He didn't know that Ling Qingyin's mother was this beautiful. She was really a femme fatale, a peerlessly enchanting beauty. It is also a mistake for a woman to be too beautiful. If the woman has no ability to protect herself and has no one to rely on, then her beauty will bring her endless disasters. Ling Qingyin sighed and said, "She was taken by my father's 2 brothers in turn. She couldn't bear to leave me behind, so she had to suffer in silence. You may not know, that grandpa of mine, that generation's Prince of Yin, also took my mother for 3 years. Don't you think that his family is full of beasts?" What? Luli was speechless. What kind of people were in this family? Even Prince of Yin would play with his son's woman? Was this family full of beasts? "I suffered a lot when I was a kid." Ling Qingyin forced a smile and said, "My mother was called a vixen by the family, and I was called a bastard. Since I was a kid, I have been bullied by the disciples of the family. I was beaten black and blue and tortured to death. I saw the suffering my mother went through and the pain I suffered since I was a kid. I swore that I must become stronger. I must replace Prince of Yin and kill all those who bully my mother and me." "You did it." Luli heard about the lamia from Pan Yuqin. He patted Ling Qingyin's smooth shoulder and said, "You are good. You overturned a family all by yourself and replaced Prince of Yin. Billions of girls in the divinity are proud of you. But you must have suffered a lot to achieve this. You must have suffered a lot." Ling Qingyin showed a sad smile and said, "It's more than that. I used to practice with poison. I soaked in the poison for 3 years. When I came out, most of my skin and muscles were rotten." Hiss, Luli gasped. He had suffered a lot in his life, and Ling Qingyin was no less than him. For a young girl to soak in poison for 3 years, this was probably unimaginable to most people. It is all in the past. It is all in the past. Luli felt pity for her. He hugged Ling Qingyin tighter and said softly, "You are my woman now. From now on, nobody can lay a finger on you. I will not let you suffer any more. I will not be your woman." Ling Qingyin shook her head. Then she turned to Luli and said, "I will only be your mistress. Only you, Luli, are qualified for me to love and for me to sacrifice myself. I don't like any of the other heroes in the world. Is there a difference between a mistress and a mistress? Luli scratched his head in confusion. Ling Qingyan said with a smile, I am a famous lamia, a poisonous woman. I have a bad reputation. Also, I am Prince Yin, and I have to command my subordinates. If they know that I am your mistress, they will betray me. Why? Luli was confused. Because I have poisoned them with the most poisonous love poison in the world. Ling Qingyan put on a mocking smile and said, They all want me, but I have poisoned them quietly. Therefore, they can only be manipulated by me. That is why I can become the leader of the 9 immortal kings. 6 of the other 8 immortal kings were poisoned by me. Unless I die or get married, there is no cure for the love poison. Don't worry. Ling Qingyan touched Luli's lips and said, You are the first man that I, Ling Qingyan, have ever fallen in love with. I will not poison you. Also, I have given you my yin energy. The love poison will not work on you. Chapter 17:07. The scenery inside the Star Sand City was beautiful, but outside the city, dark clouds covered the sky. The clouds of war were everywhere. The army of evil demons arrived at Star Sand City that day, and the army of evil demons surrounded Star Sand City. The human race's powerhouses had arrived, but the battle between the human race's powerhouses and the devil army did not start again. The human warriors were here to buy time, not to fight to the death with the army of demons. Now that the army of demons had arrived at the Star Sand City, their mission was accomplished. What happened next was up to Luli. Dead formation? Great Emperor Yoshing arrived outside Star Sand City, and his expression immediately became extremely gloomy as he looked around. The formation of Blood Demon was dead. There could only be one explanation. Yu Wang was dead. Usually, the formation of Blood Demon could be changed. The reason was that the demon controlling the formation was dead. The 3 10-winged demons that came with Yuxing were all dead. He was the only one left. 10-winged demons were hard to come into being. There were many 8-winged demons. However, in the past 100,000 years, only 4 10-winged demons were born. Now, he was the only one left. How could Yuxing not be angry? Luli can kill Yu Wang? In the formation of Blood Demon? A glint of fear rose in Yuxing's eyes. He was no match for Yu Wang when he controlled the formation of Blood Demon. In other words, Luli was more powerful than him? Did Luli have the power to kill him? It's okay, it's okay. Yuxing looked at the blood-colored array that looked like a spider web and felt slightly comforted. The formation of Blood Demon was dead. Luli would not be able to come out. Throughout history, none of the powerful demons trapped in the formation of Blood Demon came out, including 2 10-winged demons. Luli can't come out? Yuxing's eyes flickered. If Luli couldn't come out, then nobody could threaten him or stop him from sweeping across the divinity. Sacrificing Yu Wang and Yuda to trap Luli in the Star Sand City was not a bad deal, was it? Well, Yuxing pondered for an hour. He already had a plan in his mind. As long as Luli could not come out, there was still hope for him to sweep across the divinity. The only problem was that he was the only 10-winged demon. The powerful warriors in the divinity could sneak up on the demon army. An eye for an eye. Great Emperor Yoshing thought of a good idea. He could lead a group of 8-winged demons to attack and kill all the experts of the human race. Then, he could unify the god world. He could construct a celestial demon formation here to protect the army of demons. At the same time, he could also use the army of demons to monitor the situation within Star Sand City, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's do that. Yuxing put away the grief in his heart. For the sake of the demon race, it was normal for a few demon powerhouses to die. As long as he could conquer the god realm, everything would be worth it. Emperor Yoshing started to get busy, and he started to set up a formation around Star Sand City. Because there was a demon army all around, black fog roiled about, making it impossible to see what was going on. Thus, when Great Emperor Yoshing was setting up the formation, the human scouts were unable to detect him at all. Pan Yuqin and the others were worried about Lu Li's safety. That being said, the demon army was gathered together. Emperor Yoshing and many eight-winged demons were lurking in the army. Nobody dared to act rashly. If they were ambushed by great Emperor Yoshing, many of the god world's paragons would die. One day, 5 days, half a month. The fiend god array was finally set up. Within this array, as long as human experts entered, their combat strength would be suppressed. The demonic aura here was also exceptionally dense, and the combat power of demons here would be greatly enhanced. Whoosh, whoosh, when the formation was finished, Emperor Yoshing led the demon warriors and launched an attack. He only brought 10 eight-winged demons with him, leaving nearly 100 eight-winged demons in the center. The 10 eight-winged demons with him were all skilled in stealth. With a whooshing sound, Emperor Yoshing and the 10 ten-winged demons vanished in midair. When they reappeared, they were thousands of miles away. There were more than 20 divinity paragons in hiding. Demon Yoshing is here. Luo Guan was here. Her senses were sharp. She had sensed Emperor Yoshing before he got close. She shouted. The black ruler in her hand grew bigger, and she smashed it forward. Bang! With a muffled sound, the ruler was bounced off. Emperor Yoshing and the 10 eight-winged demons dashed out and charged at the divinity paragons like hungry wolves. Inform Patriarch Zhuoqiu to attack the demon army. Luo Guan shouted angrily. The scouts in hiding in the distance immediately sent the message. According to the original plan, once demon Yoshing attacked any group of divinity paragons, the other divinity paragons would attack the demon camp and force demon Yoshing to retreat. Luo Guan led the 20 divinity paragons and fought hard, retreating as they fought. She used all her strength to barely block Emperor Yoshing's attack. The other 20 divinity paragons blocked the attacks of the 10 eight-winged demons. Bang! In just half an incense stick's worth of time, Luo Guan could no longer hold on. His chest was clawed viciously by great Emperor Yoshing, and half the flesh on his chest was torn to shreds. A bloody wound appeared on his chest. He had been severely injured. Retreat! Luo Guan glanced at the devil camp, and his eyes were full of bewilderment. Zhuoqiu Lu had already led dozens of divinity paragons to attack the demon camp. Demon Yoshing didn't come back. Since Demon Yoshing didn't come back and Luo Guan was badly injured, the divinity paragons lost their will to fight. They fled in all directions. Luo Guan was the first to run. If she didn't, she would die here. She had a good escaping skill. For a short time, she could burn divine energy to double her speed. Not even Emperor Yoshing could catch up with her. What happened next shocked Luo Guan and the divinity paragons. After Emperor Yoshing defeated them, he didn't come back to help. Instead, he went after them. 2 divinity paragons were too slow and were caught up by Emperor Yoshing. Emperor Yoshing killed them in one move. What is going on? The divinity paragons fled like birds startled by the mere twang of a bow. Was Emperor Yoshing not afraid that the demon camp would be destroyed? If so many demons were killed, then what would be the point even if he killed the 20 divinity paragons? Is Lu Li dead? The other 2 ten-winged fiends have appeared and are guarding the fiend camp? Luo Guan thought. The other 2 ten-winged demons hadn't shown up recently. Clearly, they had gone to deal with Lu Li. If the 2 ten-winged demons were here, then Lu Li was dead. The other 2 ten-winged demons didn't show up. Zhuoqiu Lu led a group of divinity paragons to attack the demon camp. There were no 10-winged demons there, but with the help of the formation of immortals, all the demons' abilities had been enhanced. There was already a group of 8-winged demons there. With a boost in their abilities, they could fend off the attacks from Zhuoqiu Lu and the others. The Grand Fiend God formation could also suppress the battle prowess of Zhuoqiu Lu and the others. So after attacking for a period of time, Zhuoqiu Lu and the others did not gain anything besides killing over 100,000 low-level fiend gods. Instead, they lost the supreme of the god world. Retreat. After a while, Luo Guan still didn't send back a message. It was pointless to go on like this. Zhuoqiu Lu waved her hand and left with the divinity paragons. Emperor Yoshing has taken the initiative and is ignoring the demon camp. Is he going to fight back? In a cave millions of miles to the south of the Star Sand City, Pan Yuqin received the information. Her eyes dimmed. Chapter 1708. Emperor Yoshing did not stop his pursuit. He left the base camp of the demons behind and went after them with 10 eight-winged demons. Of the more than 20 divinity supreme warriors that escaped from Luo Guan, 8 were killed in 3 days. Even Luo Guan was almost killed. Emperor Yoshing had caught up with her. If it were not for the fact that she forced herself to use a skill to escape, she would have been killed. But in order to run away, she was exhausted. She would not be able to fight anytime soon. Great Emperor Yoshing turned his spear and chased after the experts led by Zhuqilu. Zhuqilu had to retreat with her team. Emperor Yoshing followed them closely. In 8 days, he killed 6 divinity supreme warriors. Pan Yuqin ordered a lockdown on the news. Otherwise, the entire divinity would be in a state of panic again. The divinity supreme warriors all ran away and teleported back to the city of divinity. Emperor Yoshing's abnormal actions caused all the experts present to be filled with bewilderment. But one thing was for sure. Luli could not pose a threat to the demon army anytime soon. Otherwise, Emperor Yoshing would not have been so arrogant and would not have gone after them so brazenly. Zhuqilu sent a message to Pan Yuqin and asked her to report. Pan Yuqin teleported back to the city of divinity and told everyone what she knew. The powerful warriors in the city were worried. Ling Qingyan and Luli had both entered the Star Sand City. Though their jade talismans of life were still intact, there was no news from them. The Star Sand City was surrounded by the demon army. Emperor Yoshing was going after them instead of dealing with Luli. There was only one explanation. Luli and Ling Qingyan were trapped in the Star Sand City. Emperor Yoshing made sure that Luli could not come out, so he took action. Otherwise, if Luli could leave the Star Sand City, then the tens of millions of demons here would have been devoured by the worms of void. Why would Emperor Yoshing let the demon army surround the city? After coming to this conclusion, everyone's heart turned cold. If Luli really couldn't come out, then who could stop Yushing? If they couldn't, then the divinity would still be destroyed. Trust Luli. Luo Huang, who was in the corner of the castle, suddenly said, his understanding of arrays and restrictions is even greater than that of a grandmaster divine blacksmith. He should have a high chance of breaking the array. Everyone's eyes glowed. Luo Huang was a master craftsman, and she was friends with Luli. Both of them had participated in the competition of craftsmen. If she said so, then there was still hope. The group of people did not know what to do and could only quietly wait for the news. On the 5th day, news came back, but it wasn't good news. Great Emperor Yoshing had brought 10 eight-winged demons to attack towards the north. They didn't bring an army of evil demons with them. Just 11 evil demons easily swept through a prefecture. Their speed was too fast. Wherever they passed, cities would immediately fall, and the remaining humans would be demonized and turned into demonic slaves. Great Emperor Yoshing and the 8-winged demon could annihilate a prefecture in 2 to 3 days. Most importantly, they were heading north. Currently, a large number of humans from the God Realm were gathered in the land of Yuyan. If Great Emperor Yoshing and the other demons charged into the land of Yuyan, the consequences would be unthinkable. The problem was, what else could they do? They could either go and stop Great Emperor Yoshing or attack the main camp of the evil demons and find a way to break into Star Sand City to save Luli. However, Zhuqilu and the others had attacked the main camp of the evil demons before. There was a celestial demon formation there, and the evil demons' battle strength had increased. The humans' battle strength would be suppressed if they went in. Even if they all died in Star Sand City, they might not be able to defeat the evil demon army. 2 directions. Zhuqilu thought for an hour and said, first, send the formation-breaking experts to break the formation of the evil demon army in Star Sand City. Second, we will all go to the land of Yuyan and use the heaven and earth formation there to stop old demon Yoshing. Zhuqilu was indeed the master of the space-time office. She was a formidable person. Even in such a situation, she could think of two good ideas. The craftsman's sect had formation-breaking experts. They could try to break the formation. The heaven and earth formation at the land of Yuyin was very strong. It had withstood the attacks of the four super forces for hundreds of thousands of years. If they could not break the celestial demon formation at Star Sand City, then all the powerful martial artists would go to the land of Yuyin. When the heaven and earth formation was activated, all the powerful martial artists' battle strength would increase. By then, they might be able to fight against old demon Yoshing and the powerful martial artists of the evil demon realm. Let's move the humans. The new pavilion master of the Pavilion of Heavenly Mysteries nodded and said, all the humans will be moved to the land of Yuyin. That will be our final base. If the heaven and earth formation at the land of Yuyin cannot stop them, then it will be a catastrophe that the immortal realm must experience. All right. The group of people all nodded in agreement and discussed many details together. Then, they asked Pan Yuqin to communicate with the divine kings of the land of Yuyin. After all, the immortal realm and the land of Yuyin used to be enemies. Now, that so many top experts were going there, it might cause misunderstandings and opposition from the divine kings there. Pan Yuqin understood all the information. She reported the situation to the divine kings at the land of Yuyin and asked them to make a decision. The craftsman's sect began to mobilize formation-breaking experts and teleported to Star Sand City to think of a way to break the formation. Great Emperor Yoshing led the 10 evil demons and continued to attack the north. They conquered cities and territories along the way, easily taking down prefecture after prefecture. The sword was pointed at the land of Yuyin. The scouts sent by the land of Yuyin sent back information like snowflakes. Pan Wang and the others panicked. Ling Qingyin was not around. They could only gather together and discuss. Finally, they agreed to send the immortal realm formidable martial artists over. With so many formidable martial artists, it would be easier to stop Great Emperor Yoshing. Otherwise, they did not have the confidence to stop Great Emperor Yoshing with just the 8 divine kings. Countless formidable martial artists started to move. They organized all the citizens in the north to teleport to the land of Yuyin. The teleportation altar that the space-time palace had not destroyed, and all the teleportation formations were activated. Large numbers of human citizens poured into the land of Yuyin. The land of Yuyin was already overcrowded. Many places were filled with people. Half a month passed. The formation-breaking experts of the craftsman's sect gathered outside the evil demon army at Star Sand City and began to break the formation. Tens of immortal realm supremes were sent to guard the place. After all, these formation-breaking masters were not very strong. They were very good at forging weapons and setting up formations. The evil demon camp did not attack. Great Emperor Yoshing had ordered that no matter how the human martial artists lured them or how they set up a trap, none of the evil demons were allowed to go out. As long as they did not go out, with the God-Fiend formation, no matter what tricks the human race had, they would not be able to break in. Other formidable martial artists of the human race started to teleport towards the land of Yuyin. They were prepared to use the land of Yuyin as their last fortress. If they could not hold on, the human race would perish for sure. Another half a month passed. Great Emperor Yoshing led 10 evil demons like a hot knife through butter. They headed north. All the cities they passed were easily conquered. Star Sand City, on the other hand, was not making any progress. It was not that these formation masters were useless. It was that the God-Fiend formation was in the evil demon camp. There were demons everywhere. If they wanted to break the formation, they would have to let these formation masters enter the camp. This group of formation masters was very weak. If they forced their way into the camp, everyone would be killed in an instant. How could they break the formation? The good situation had been reversed because Luli was trapped in Star Sand City. If Luli could not come out and the land of Yuyin could not hold on, the immortal realm would not be able to escape its fate of destruction. Luli, are you doing well in the city? Can you come out? Pan Yuqin did not go back to the land of Yuyin. Instead, she stayed near Star Sand City. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.